Welcome back again to Ironfang Invasion Book 6. I forget, maybe Session 3 of Book 6? I forget how many sessions we've had in Book 6. I think we're on the third one.
Yes, you are correct.
Yes, we covered last session, we covered days 2, 3, and 4 of the War Summit of Nirmathos. Day 2 started out with an uninvited guest. The battalion of Molthuni soldiers led by General Lord Ketra Sabine and Kieran's brother Raiden showed up and pretty much were requesting to be included in the War Summit. And the four of you had a lengthy discussion over your thoughts on that, on whether they should be included. And then there was a little bit of discussion of what information would have been given to Kieran's brother leading up to this event. And it was ultimately decided that pretty much the bare essentials of information was given to him. No specific details, but nonetheless, with those hints and his substantial prowess as a intelligence officer, he was able to piece together enough that allowed him to direct General Lord Ketra Sabine to the War Summit, albeit a day late. There was a little bit of a huff from some of the attendees about her inclusion, but ultimately things ended amicably enough. Days 3 and 4 went by mostly fine. You even noticed a surprisingly friendly conversation between the Forest Marshal and the General Lord by the end of day 3. Day 4, the only real hurdle you faced was that Gossamer seemed a little bit bored and distracted. She had stormed out of the room, mentioning how the Fae of the Fangwood had discovered an Onyx Tower within their own borders and were planning an attack on it, and she accused everybody else here of wasting time while the Fae were the only ones facing the enemy. And Sir Doc went after her to try to console her, as did Gideon. They had a friendly little drinking, I guess you could say, competition, but the only real competition was to see if he succumbed to the irresistible dance spell that was part of the alcohol, which he managed to resist and impressed both of them. And that was actually the deciding factor in getting, I think Sir Doc had already been convinced, but that was the deciding factor with convincing Gossamer to lend you her aid. Then with day, so that was day 4. That brings us to day 5. And I gave a little bit of a behind the scenes thing at the end of last session. Day 5, the theme is tragic news.
Oh yes, I remember this. That's bad.
Yes. On the morning of the 5th day, as the delegates all settle in once again, it's been a long process, this War Summit. You can see that certain members are definitely, it's taking a toll on them, spending pretty much the entire day just in conversation and political intrigue and war strategizing and all that stuff. As everybody is getting settled in and things are starting to pick up, you notice one of Westland's aides approaches the Forest Marshal, begins to whisper into his ear. His features grow grim as his attention turns to Gossamer. He gets up and approaches her and whispers. Any of you who would like can attempt to eavesdrop with a perception check, if you so desire.
This will go well.
Or you could be decent human beings and just let them speak to themselves.
Hey. Decent human beings eavesdrop too.
I just want to make sure he's feeling okay. Yeah, he looks fine.
We're off to a good start, Oran. 16, 11.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natural 4, natural 2.
Can I take a 20 on that?
I don't think so.
20 on
Oh
perception
no!
A natural 1.
A natural 1 for 9. I'd rather take the 20.
Jessup is sitting directly next to Gossamer, and he has no idea what's going on. He's like, "Oh, Westland, I didn't even see you get up."
Yeah. It's like when you're not paying attention at all, you're just in the zone, staring straight ahead.
Yeah.
If the one is talking, this is a human, then it's that role. Else, it's 2 less.
Okay. So Kieran, Oran, and Jessup, the three of you are preoccupied with other business. You're either talking to the other people around you or simply too far away to really get a good grasp of the conversation. Gideon, however, you're a little bit sensitive to Gossamer at the moment, given what happened yesterday and then your conversation with her after she stormed off. So you're kind of paying a little bit of attention to the stuff that's going on around her. So you pick up on this conversation and you hear the forest marshal whisper to Gossamer. He says, "The Fae pushed through some token defenses and entered the stronghold in the Fangwood, only to be inundated with explosives and fire and then set upon by reinforcements waiting in ambush. It was a massacre." And you can see Gossamer sits kind of stunned in silence for a few seconds, and then she starts speaking. And this part, all of you could hear. She's not really whispering at this point. She's just kind of speaking out in disbelief. She says, "That isn't possible. The only people who knew were us." And then there's kind of an awkward silence as everybody in the room kind of looks over because they're now aware of something going on. And then you can see like tears start to well up in her face, and then they turn venomous. And she looks around and she has a snarl on her face and she says, "Traitor, who is it? Who's the snake in our midst?" And she turns her wrath and her blade towards the knight Sir Dak and screams, You knew all the details. Curse you for taking advantage of my drunkenness, but I shall have my revenge." And in a flash, she takes to the air. Before anyone can react, with lightning speed, she charges across the table at Sir Dak and plunges her rapier into his gut. Despite her small size, the wound is clearly quite serious. Luckily, Dak is able to shake it off thanks to a quick application of lay on hands. And at that moment, the whole room begins to erupt. Westland tries to defuse the situation, but is quickly dragged away from danger by his guards. Santilla Savros practically falls out of her chair as she jumps up and begins to retreat out of the room. Obsic does the same, colliding with you, Oran. You both nearly fall to the ground, but he manages to catch his footing and leave what has essentially turned into a small battlefield as soldiers from Multhune and rangers from Nirmathos alike draw their weapons in confusion. General Lord Ketra Sabine is probably the only attendee to maintain some semblance of composure as she watches the fight from the end of the table. Everybody roll initiative.
That's not great.
It's not really how I expected this to start.
So let me update the map here. So Scintilla Savros has fled, Obsic has fled, Gossamer is now next to Sir Dak. Westland has been dragged away by the two guards to the side of the room here. Two of the Multhuni soldiers have entered the room hearing the commotion. All right. So I'll just kind of line these guys up outside of the room, but they've kind of left in a hurry. All right. So rolling initiative here. We've got a 19 from Oran, a 25 from Gideon, a 27 from Jessup, and an 18 from Kieran. All right, so let me see what Sir Dak and Gossamer's are going to be. So, Gossamer will be going second. Jessup, you actually beat Gossamer's initiative. You will be acting first in this round. As I just said, you see things begin to go crazy very quickly in this room, and it's very abrupt, and you're probably reeling a little bit trying to get a grasp on the situation because you didn't hear the conversation that Westland gave. You just saw Gossamer react to whatever he said, and then for some reason attack Sir Dak. What would you like to do?
So obviously, since Jessup has no idea what's going on, he as well will take out his bow and shoot at Sir Dak. Obviously, he is the traitor.
Clearly, he is the traitor, and we all murder Sir Dak.
Surprisingly, that is the correct choice. Go ahead and roll an attack.
No, do not sully the name Vigil of the capital city of Lashwell.
Yep.
So, and I was trying to piece together. Did we as players already know that there was this battle going on, or that they had troops there, or
So-
has this surprised us too?
The previous day, Gossamer had shouted out about, oh, the Fae, we know about a tower in our midst, and we're the only ones that are doing anything about it, and then she stormed out. Sirdak went after her, and Gideon went after her. Those were the only three that went out. Gideon stayed around for a little bit, but left, and then the two of them drank probably for quite some time afterwards. There was no talk of a battle, but there was talk of the Fae knowing of a tower, so it's not terribly surprising, I guess, to hear about an attack going awry, but you didn't hear that part of the conversation necessarily. You only heard her reaction to the conversation.
Gotcha. Let's see, what is this just about to do? Just look at my performances here.
Calm emotions, soothe, suggestion. Oh wait, doesn't have those.
Dominate person.
I'm gonna have to be dominate monster.
Yeah, it wouldn't work because she's Fae. Yeah,
Cast hold person on Sardak.
Oh yeah.
that would work.
So Dax like, I haven't done anything wrong. Why are you casting spells on me?
She's like, I've been stabbed.
I guess yeah, Jessup seeing, and we saw that he had healed himself, correct? At least.
Yeah, so you saw that as a swift action, he did a lay on hands, which you've seen Gideon do many a time, but his is way better.
Come on, guy. You didn't have to. That wasn't necessary.
Because yours is 3d6 and his is like 7d6.
I like to think that Gideon's is weird because he's always like, I touch myself. So Dak's like, you don't have to say that every time you cast lay on hands, Gideon.
Well, it's my divine touch.
So yeah, Jessup, I guess he would attempt a diplomacy check to attempt to diffuse the situation with Gossamer.
Okay, sure. What do you say?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
Yeah, Jessup would quickly stand up and, Gossamer, you need to restrain yourself. We are friends of the Fae here. There's no need to cause violence. We are on your side.
Okay, roll a diplomacy.
Restrain yourself.
36? Well, I think he's being a little bit more forceful. Maybe it's partially intimidating, but...
I like to think he grabs Gossamer and is like doing the slap thing. Get a hold of yourself!
Yeah, it seemed very like, restrain yourself. Get hold of
Restrain
yourself.
yourself.
I mean, if anything, Gideon was there and he heard the news too, so he could be the traitor.
I could be the traitor. It's true.
Well, Gideon left before they got into any of those
No.
details.
Don't give me
Okay.
my own alibis.
Okay.
I was
All right,
there the whole
Gideon's
time.
a traitor. Guys, we have to kill Gideon.
Day one.
The only way to be safe is to kill Gideon and Sardak.
Yeah, you thought Kieran being Multhudi was cool. I was a hobgoblin the whole time.
Not a half-elf. Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
All right. So that is Jessup's turn. He rolls a 36 diplomacy. All right. Gossamer's turn is next. She kind of whips her head around to look at you, Jessup, and you can see there's still fury in her eyes, and she says, "What do you know, my brethren? They've fallen, and someone tipped off those filthy hobgoblins." For this round, she will not attack Sardak, but you can tell she is still very combative. You will probably need to either make a additional diplomacy check to truly wear her down, or some other means. You've succeeded in having her yield her assault, but she is not yet out of combat, I guess you could say. That brings us to Sirdak. He stumbles out of his chair backwards a little bit, and he uses another lay on hands to heal up the rest of the wound. And he's just kind of mumbling to himself a little bit. You can tell that he's confused by the fact that he's just been attacked out of nowhere by this Fae, whom, last night he was drinking with. And he seems so shocked that he's not even able to really, call out to her and question things. He's just kind of like blinking and the healing his wound and trying to make sense of the situation. That is his turn. Kieran, you are up next.
Oh, really?
Did you?
Oh, sorry, I didn't sort.
I'm like, there.
I was
I
the
just,
last in the initiative, so
So I put all your initiatives in, and then I didn't sort it. So Kieran was second in the list, but okay. So Gideon is next.
Let's be fair. How often does Gideon go before
I know,
the end of the round?
I know, I rolled rocks. I rolled good. That's why I was a little confused, though, when you're like, oh, and Dak beats me. Okay.
It's
like,
a new homebrew rule where the initiatives go top, bottom, next bottom, next top, next bottom. It cycles back and forth.
Okay, Gideon will stand up and he will talk to Gossamer. And we will avenge them, but let us first find out who is truly to blame. Our enemy is the Legion, and I trust Sir Dak. I will vouch for him. Let us have a moment. And I'll take a diplomacy, if you allow me,
Okay. Yeah, you can make a diplomacy check.
to improve her attitude towards us. Yay, it's a 26.
Okay. A 26. We will see how she reacts next round. After Gideon is Oran.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd chip in the same and, ask her to calm down, to trust everybody that's in the room, He'll try some diplomacy as well. Come on, give me that nat 20. Okay, well, that seems about right.
You actually spur her on to further violence.
I was like, yeah, get him.
Yeah, nothing helps calm a person down who's angry by saying, calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down.
Anyone
Okay?
who's ever had a long... Never mind. Sarah's in the group. I was going to say, any man who's ever had a long-term female significant other, telling her to calm down is not the right choice. Ever.
Given that this is being recorded, no response.
I think you should calm down, Justin.
Calm down. You need to calm down.
Yeah,
Calm
just
down.
calm
All
down.
right. Well, Oran rolls a 12 diplomacy, so we'll see how that goes. Kieran, you're up.
All right, Kieran is going to, as a standard action, grow
Attack.
his leathery wings from his back, which normally he has out, but I think because of the nature of this council, he hasn't been sitting there with his wings. So he's going to grow those wings, and then he's going to move to, interpose himself between her and Sir Dak. And he does not have a weapon drawn. His hands are just up in a passive position. And that'll be his turn.
Okay. That brings us to the top of round 2. Jessup, you are first. Again, Gossamer goes after you, so it is not until after your turn you will know whether your efforts have been effective or not. What would you like to do this round, though?
I mean, it seemed to have worked. Am I allowed another chance for diplomacy?
You can if you'd like.
Sure. Yep, I will attempt another oratory, I guess in response to her, with, say, I was not at Phaendar, but my father and many of people who I know had perished. The Rangers, who I stand with, we are just a mere fraction of what we once were. I know of loss. You are not alone.
All right.
44 this time?
Okay.
Ooh, that's a big roll.
And that's your turn?
Can I get a second diplomacy roll?
No.
Then yes, that is my turn.
All right, that brings us to Gossamer. You see that she still looks around, angry, and now she's looking just more confused about the situation. And you can see that she lowers her rapier and she looks around and says, I'm sorry, I let my emotions get the better of me, but we must find out what happened. And with that, we can fall out of initiative. You were able to hit the DC twice. It was Jessup who succeeded both times. Gideon, you were close.
Gideon, you were there.
I rolled poorly. I have a 19 on my diplomacy, man.
Yeah, it was, I guess I say close. It was DC 34.
That wasn't close. Why would you give me a full sense of hope?
Well, I looked at it and I was like, it was the next highest one. And I was like, so you were close. And I looked at the actual numbers like, wow.
So a peek behind the scenes, if we had not convinced her, was she going to continue the attack on Sir Dak?
Yeah, if you were curious about that. So you could dissuade her with either a diplomacy or intimidate. You could subdue her with a grapple, or you could try to incapacitate her with spells. If you didn't intervene or were unable to stop her, she'd continue attacking for at least 4 rounds. And eventually Sir Dak would start to...
Attack back.
Well, no, not attack back, but he would start pleading his innocence after a round or two. And eventually Westland would have barged back in along with his guards and basically ordered everyone in the room to subdue her.
So I guess after things diffused, Jessup would kind of relay, Oran, Gideon, please go check on Sardak and take care of his wounds. Kieran, please go get the others and let them know that we're okay. Gossamer, please, come with me. Give them some space.
Woo! Gideon gives Jessup a salute. My goodness. About time he took charge. Goodness me.
Only 5 books, right?
Right?
5 books and he finally takes lead.
Kieran says,
Whoa.
"You are not my master. I only serve the Lord Commander."
I only have servants. I'm not a servant.
So that was a funny moment of like dissonance that happens. I was like, oh, I don't like getting bossed around, and then I was like, wait a minute, but Gideon does not mind. I had to immediately reground myself in the character. I was about to
And at least
yell.
he said please. So
Yeah, he was excellent.
All right. Kieran will float down to the ground, dismiss his wings, and see if he can find the others, which it looks like they both ran out opposite sides of the room. So he can have to. Oh, he can dimension door. He'll go out one side, grab her, and then dimension door over to where the other guy probably went, and then come back. I don't know, Jason, if they're there. Like, I don't know if they're readily available or...
Which two are you talking about? You talking about opposite side of the rooms, and I was confused what you meant by that.
Well, because the dwarf guy went one way, I thought, and the
They both, there's only one entrance. They both ran out the one entrance.
Oh.
And then
Okay.
started
I guess
running
I
that
thought
direction.
this was a door. It's a fireplace.
Oran
isn't
would
it?
comment on how much better the healing seems to be from his lay on hands than any he's ever seen.
Hey! I just got better at it. I just got
He's
better.
he doesn't point it out specifically Gideon. He's just commenting that's the best he's ever seen, you know?
It's like, hey, do you want to join our party? We
Right.
could have a vacancy.
We could make some room.
Yeah. Before Kieran, before you like leave the room, Westland does manage to get back in on like the following round with his guards. You can see that they're still trying to like stop him, but he's kind of overpowered them at this point and barged his way back into the room after being dragged out. And he kind of looks around and he says, "What is going on? What is the situation?" And he sees that like you guys are over there, and Gossamer is just kind of hovering in the air with her rapier just in hand but lowered. And he says, "It looks like you've managed to defuse the situation. That's very good. Gossamer, I would prefer that you didn't have such outbursts in the future. This is a very delicate situation for all of the people involved here. I understand your situation as well. We will get to the bottom of this." And at this point, Gossamer just nods and kind of like drops down to sit on the table itself. And Westland walks up to those of you over here and says, "It looks like things have been disrupted quite heavily today. I saw Santilla and Obsic make a run for their chambers. They probably were scared half to death. I don't think either of them are built for fighting. It's quite the situation."
Can I get a little like a sense motive or perception or insight? What's this Malthudi scum doing over here?
You see that she remained in her chair the entire time. Her guards came over and kind of like tried to form like a circle around her to protect her, and she was just observing the whole time. You could go ahead and roll a sense motive.
Got it.
Meanwhile, this guy was like, now's my chance to sit the throne. Also, I love that, like, Gossamer, it's like, okay, don't do that again. It's like, you just fought somebody. Like, copper and irons or something. Like,
Listen, tensions are running high, okay?
yeah, it doesn't give you the right to just, like, charge somebody and stab them in the gut.
No, it's fine. He's fine. Did you see his lay on hands ability?
If they drop the charges, everything is fine.
25.
Okay. Sense motive 25. Gideon, you are able to see there's a hint of panic in her face, but it's quickly suppressed. You can see that she's trying to maintain the same degree of elegance and composure that she's had up to this point in the War Summit. She's trying to make it seem like she's still in control, even in an uncontrollable situation. That's about all that you can tell from her.
She's thinking, this is not how we do things in Multhune.
And while you guys are looking around, Sir Dacus just kind of takes a step back, and you can see that he kind of like puts a hand to his face, and he's just kind of sweating quite profusely, given that he was just attacked, but still looks very confused.
If I might speak up and ask, what provoked this act from you, Gossamer?
Gossamer looks over to Westland and says, that man, he said that my brethren, my comrades, they attacked the Onyx Tower in the Fangwood, and they were ambushed. Someone must have told the Legion about the attack, told them that we knew where the tower was, and they were lying in wait for us. He said it was a massacre. The only one who knew about the attack was me, and Sir Dac. She kind of looks again at him, and it's almost like a hiss that she releases there, a growl, a snarl at him again.
Why did you assume that he was the one that would have given up the information? I don't understand why you chose him as your target.
As I just said, he is the only other one that knew. There's no one else that knew about it except for him.
Gossamer, our encounters with the Legion, they have many manner of creatures and unfortunate ways to get information. I would not be surprised if they somehow found out themselves, or perhaps there could be something in our midst collecting information. I'm not saying there's a traitor, just that they have ways.
Plus, we're not the only ones that would have known about this. The actual Fae carrying out the attack would have also known. It's possible that it was leaked from them somehow, so you can't just blame those of us in this room.
Oh boy. Let me think for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, dummy. Why don't you end it with that? Yeah, dummy.
She raises her rapier in your direction, Kieran, and she basically shouts over at you, says, how dare you suggest that my brethren would betray? And she kind of like catches her breath. She doesn't even finish her sentence. She's so angry. She's holding herself back from attacking, but you get the sense that if she continues speaking, she might just fly at you.
I think you misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying they would have willingly given up information, but in all of the things that we've seen that have gotten us to this point, as Jessup mentioned, the Legion has powerful ways to get information that even we don't understand. I'm just saying, there are other ways for them to have found out this information.
Kieran did not mean insult. He speaks true. There are powerful magics, and we know at least of one artifact, if not powerful spellcasters who could obtain information through divinations or scrying. There are lots of ways.
She just lowers her rapier again, but she doesn't respond. She just turns away in a huff.
What we need to do is try to figure out how, and if there is a who is responsible.
Sir Dac takes another step back, and he just says, I didn't say, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't say anything. I don't understand. And he's just kind of talking to himself more than anyone else.
Gideon will put a hand on his shoulder just to try to ground him a little bit.
He startles as soon as you touch him, but calms down.
We're going to find out what happened.
What? Yes, what happened? I didn't say anything.
Does he seem to be okay? Yes,
No.
motive.
No, he doesn't.
Sure, you can go sense motive on,
I
Sir Dac.
He was just stabbed in the gut.
Yeah, but he's acting
That's no
kind
excuse for acting weird.
weird.
That's no excuse for weird behavior.
Stop. There's way too many jokes I can make that I have to...
45 to figure out why he's acting weird.
Not even close. DC 70.
Dang.
No, so Jessup, you're observing him and his reaction to all of this, trying to figure out what's going on. He definitely isn't his jovial self, which makes sense. He was just stabbed. But everything that you've known and heard about him from Gideon and seen for yourself, he is a paladin. He is fearless. He does not falter, you could say. But he's acting very strange. And then it's like a light bulb goes off, and you have a very sudden, awful realization that his strange behavior is kind of in line with what you would have expected from somebody under the effects of enchantment magic.
I thought he seemed, I don't know, like you said, it just seems off.
Yeah. You would need some other kind of check to determine what type you're looking at. Like it could be like charm person, dominate person. It could be like there's like a whole bunch of enchantment spells that could be affecting somebody's mind and behavior. But his reaction is something brought on by some sort of magical interference.
Can we just do detect magic to try to hone in on what it is, or how would we discern?
Sure. You could detect magic.
Oh no, he starts casting spells. She attacks him with her rapier.
Can he roll knowledge local to know that paladins are immune to fear? So
Dak, I just more of a formality. Just trying to see and ascertain information. If there's something going on here that we are not aware of. And he starts kind of channeling detect magic and honing in on whatever this potential compulsion spell could be.
All right. Yep. So you cast detect magic, and first round you detect the presence of so many magical auras, because like even if you're only focusing on him, he is like a 14th level paladin. He's like decked out with magical gear, so there's tons of magical auras. Second round, you start detecting the different auras that are going on. You're like, okay, that's just his armor, that's just the belt, that's just his weapon, and so on. And eventually you get to the point where you see that there's one lingering magical aura on him that is of the enchantment school. And on the third round, you can roll a spellcraft check to try to identify what spell might be affecting him.
Spellcraft, you say?
Yes.
Can we aid?
Yeah, anybody with detect magic, if you wanted to jump in.
Could I stop the detect magic, cast a spell on myself, then redo it to roll? I want to do investigative mind.
I'm going to say no, because you've already done the detect magic. I would have this spellcraft check be like as soon as you notice it.
Okay.
Well, I aid.
I wanted to just roll a natural 20.
Wow.
Dang.
We all aid.
Oof.
Can I just say mine
Wow.
was my own check?
Yeah.
So 23. So Jessup, if he doesn't get it, be like, no.
So you definitely needed the aid. Jessup, you're looking at it, and at first you're like, you're not able to figure out what this enchantment is. You narrow it down to like maybe a couple that it could be, the most likely suspects, but you're not able to determine exactly what it is. And then Kieran kind of walks up, he says, oh, that's a modify memory spell, isn't it?
Oh, that's not
that's
good.
why his memory seemed weird. Okay. So what does that spell do?
It modifies the target's memory.
Oh, what?
No way.
No.
So, what would you like to do?
So what we know of that spell, does that like cut out anybody that we would know like wouldn't be able to cast that spell? I don't know. Like
Well, modify memory is technically, when I look it up, it is a bard only spell, so the most likely suspect is probably Jessup.
Jessup, because he identified the spell, does not provide that piece of information.
Kieran whips out his glaive. Traitor, we trusted you.
All right, so Gossamer stabs him, and you don't even pull out your weapon, and then immediately...
Yep.
Yeah, so you would know that modify memory, you think that if you were able to successfully dispel it, you might be able to clear up his confusion. It kind of depends on the situation surrounding it, but
I have a dagger we could hit him with.
What do you need to get rid of that?
Dispel
Is
magic?
it just literally dispel magic?
yeah.
I didn't know if it was a break enchantment or something, so I have that too.
No, it says right here, well, actually it just says if it is dispelled. It doesn't say how to dispel it in the book here, but a normal dispel magic should do.
Yeah, I mean, Jessup could attempt to do a dispel magic then.
Okay.
So, yeah, Jessup would just kind of explain what he's doing, and he's going to attempt to help him maybe think more clearly. So what would I roll, Jason?
Yeah, so you just roll 1d20 plus your caster level.
So just roll a caster level check.
Yep, and the DC is 11 plus the caster level of whoever cast this spell on him.
25?
25. You get the sense that you were unsuccessful.
It is too strong for me. Oran, you're up.
Clearly, I use the spell-storing punch dagger and stab him exactly where Gossamer stabbed him to try and dispel the magic.
No, Oran. His memories are foggy. Stab him in the head.
In the head, indeed. All right, so it's a caster level check.
Yes.
Oh, it would help if I updated what caster level I am.
Probably, yeah.
16. I still had it as 15. Okay. Hi-ya!
Ooh, better.
Well, that's better.
A 30. Well, given that the person who cast this spell was not level 19, you are able to dispel the modify memory. And for a little bit thereafter, Surdak does still seem confused because he's now regaining whatever was modified. But you can see after maybe half a minute or so, he starts to look around with more clarity about the situation, and he seems to regather his bluster. I don't know if that's a word, but I like what it sounds like.
Yeah, bluster. Yeah, I like
His
it.
gusto.
His gusto. There you go.
His gumbo. He regathers his gumbo.
Pulls out a bowl of gumbo.
So, what would you like to do now?
Does he say anything about his recovered? Does he recover the memories or no?
He would. I was just wondering if you were asking him a specific question or just waiting to see if he said anything.
I guess Jessup would kind of explain the situation, and he would look at Gossamer and, well, I think that your accusations are true to an extent, but he holds up his hand and say, but we believe that he has been interrogated in some form and something had made him divulge information unknowingly or unwillingly. So, no malicious intent here.
So, Surdak just kind of... He starts rambling again, but it's different than before. You can see that he's clearly just recalling the events, trying to catch his memory up to present events, and he says, I remember yesterday, Lady Gossamer had left the room early, and I had gone to try to speak with her, and Gideon came along as well, and we talked for a bit. And then after Gideon left, the two of us continued drinking for a bit. I remember we talked about the situation in the Fangwood, and I was offering what little advice I could to their situation. And she had regaled me on the details of their strategy, and I thought it was all very well thought out. And then, now that I think about it, on my way back to my room, I do remember speaking with the dwarf, Obsuk. He seemed also concerned about the situation, and he was asking me some questions about what was going on. It's a bit fuzzy after that. And then I remember, as if in a daze, kind of going back to my room and coming here this morning, and then the situation that just happened here.
Jessup turns to Oran. It appears we must speak with your friend.
I mean, I wouldn't really call him a friend. I met him 4 days ago. But yes, it does seem that way.
It's canon. Dwarves become best friends after 3 days.
Friends after 3 days.
3 days.
They did the secret handshake.
You're right, the secret dwarf handshake.
Did we just become best friends?
I meant to mention earlier, and I might have missed it. The two people that ran away, Weslin made sure that they made it to where they were supposed to do and didn't leave?
So yeah, Weslin said that they had run off to their individual rooms. He had burst in a hurry trying to stop the attack from going on, and that's when he saw that you guys had diffused it and came over to enter the conversation. So yeah, the last you know is that he said that he saw them going to their rooms.
Yeah, well, I really don't want them to get away and one of them to run and leave, so we should go to them right now.
I think we should find them both.
Yes.
Do we split up?
Yeah, we split the party.
No. I think we should go after the dwarf first, since he's the primary lead that we have right now, and then we could ask Weslin to take some of the rangers and go get
Centilla.
Yeah, I was going to say, just tell Weslin and some guards
Just
to go.
going to say that. Great minds.
Say it in character. You're the boss now, remember?
Yeah, start barking orders.
Who? Oh,
You.
Wait, me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had a memory fog of my own. Somebody made me really BA for a few moments in time.
All right. So yeah, you direct Westland and his guards to go seek out Santilla, and the four of you make your way towards Opsic's room then.
Yeah, and then as we leave, Jessup would obviously provide condolences to Gossamer and let her know that we'll get to the bottom of this, but please refrain from attacking anyone until we find the culprit.
She immediately starts attacking people.
No more stabby.
I found it! It was a bard that's a traitor! Oh, crap.
All right. So you guys leave this chamber, descend down the tower, and leave the main tower here, going over to the side building where everybody has been staying. And you go to the second floor of that building and find Opsic's room. The door is closed. You can hear movement inside. What do you do?
What kind of movement? Can I listen at the door?
Like shuffling of like footsteps.
I knock on the door.
There's no response.
Please open up.
I knock again.
Still no response.
I knock one last time.
Still no response. The shuffling of footsteps back and forth continues the whole time. There's no interruption.
I open the door.
That's an illusion.
Okay. You open the door to Opsic's chambers, and you do see the ostentatious-looking dwarf with his bejeweled clothing pacing back and forth next to the window. And you can immediately tell he's very clearly shaken up by the recent events. It's like he didn't even hear you, but the moment the door opens, he notices and says, in surprise, excuse me, can I help you?
Yeah, we just had a few questions. Are you okay?
Yes, of course. My apologies. I was a little startled by the whole situation. I was sitting right next to her, and I wasn't quite expecting that response.
It was quite the response indeed, but the situation seemed to have been diffused, so we're just gathering everyone to return back and, trying to assess the situation. You don't have any information to divulge, do you? Nothing that you've seen or heard about Gossamer or Paladin?
Oh, no, of course not. I have no idea what was going on with her. I didn't quite hear what the forest marshal whispered into her ears, but it must have been something very serious indeed. I don't have very much to do with the Fae, even though, the Kregadan has established somewhat more friendly relations with them as of these past few weeks. I haven't had the privilege of really speaking to Lady Gossamer myself.
Sir Dak had actually mentioned you were asking after them last night.
Oh, that's nonsense.
It's nonsense?
Of course it's nonsense. What would I have to ask them about?
So, after our meeting adjourned yesterday, what were you doing then?
I returned to my room, and that is where I stayed, counting my jewels as I do every night.
Sounds about right. So you didn't see either Gossamer at all, or...?
I saw them out the window, sitting by the bridge, and that's about it.
Interesting. Can just try to do a sense motive on that?
Anybody who wants to can roll a sense motive if they'd like.
Don't bother, a
Wow.
44.
2 on the die. Ugh.
Let us play too.
No, this book is the Book of Jessup.
The Book of Jessup!
I'll aid somebody.
Oh, okay.
Hope I won't, because
No,
I
you
rolled.
No, you won't. So you guys are looking at him, and he seems very genuine. He seems actually somewhat aghast at the fact that he's being cued into the fact that he's become a suspect, and you can see that he's almost offended at that fact, and you don't see anything about him that would indicate that he's lying.
Is he also under the spell?
Yeah, another detect magic might be in the way.
Well, out of character, I'm thinking we got some issues with them doppelgangers again
Oh, yeah.
that we had in Long Shadow. But Jessup will...
I called it! The Dream Guys!
No, not them. No,
Yeah,
the ones
dream
that took...
things.
No, the ones that took over the 3 advisors.
Yeah, those were the
Yeah,
dream
those
things.
were the dream
No.
things,
They're
weren't
two
they?
separate things. The 3 advisors of Long Shadow were doppelgangers. The 2 dream assassins were bugbears.
Oh.
Oh.
And they got away. And they only did stuff with nightmares and shadows, none of which we have seen yet. And I don't think any of them have ranks in Bard.
Sorry, I thought they were the same.
Nope. There were 5 enemies in Long Shadow. 2 of them were assassins, 3 of them were infiltrators.
So Jessup will just, I guess, ask him politely if to exclude him from being a potential suspect of information as much as Jessup does trust him, if he would not mind allowing me to attempt to discern if there's any magical auras or abilities that maybe was cast on him against his will, just to rule out him being a suspect.
Well, I can't believe the indignity of this. As a representative of the Great Kragadan being treated this way, like a suspect.
Listen, I don't want to treat you as a suspect either, but you saw how Gossamer was very angry and just immediately went rash and stabbed someone. I really just would not like that to be you. I would love to tell her that you are not a suspect and do not, cause harm to you at all. I think you would agree the same?
Well, I suppose. If you must, then so be it.
Okay, Jessup will... You can count your jewels or whatever you do while I use Detect Magic.
Okay. You cast Detect Magic, and you notice something a little odd.
Oh, no.
And you notice a singular aura. Unlike with Serdak, where you notice there's a whole bunch of different auras, there's only one aura coming off of Obsec here. And by the 3rd round of concentration, you are able to identify it as an aura of illusion.
Oh boy.
His entire body is basically an aura of illusion. You can roll a spellcraft check if you'd like.
Oh, sure.
I will roll my own spellcraft. 37.
I'll roll to aid.
Oh, Kieran! Where are those who are trying to identify magical goods?
I know, right?
Oh, man. So a 34 from Jessup, a 37 from Kieran, a 7 from Oran, and a 19 from Gideon.
I aided Jessup.
Yep. So Jessup and Kieran, you are both able to identify this as a persistent image. So persistent image.
So this is not even him.
Yep. Yep.
So persistent image functions like silent image, except that it includes visual, auditory, olfactory, and thermal components, and it can be programmed to respond in a sort of scripted manner in a way. It follows this programming without the need to concentrate, and it can include intelligible speech, and it lasts for quite some time.
I should have known that. Jessup has that. He's a bard!
Yeah, I think Kieran's gonna curse under his breath. And is this... So I know you just read off a bunch of stuff, but it's corporeal or it's not? If I were to walk up and touch him, would I go through?
If you were to walk up and try to touch him, you'd get a will save to disbelieve the illusion, and you'd pass right through it. Now that you've been given convincing proof and that you've identified it as a spell, there's basically no way that you'd fail the check. So if you fail to disbelieve it, you act in every way like it's there. Your hand would stop, and it's like you'd believe that it's actually there. But if you disbelieve it, you'd pass right through it because it's not a real thing. It just mimics the effects of, heat, sound, smell, and all that stuff.
Okay. Kieran would walk up upon knowing this spell, would walk up and just wave his hand through.
You backhand Obsec in the face and your hand goes right through him. And as soon as you do that, Obsec sneers at you. The change in his expression is so startlingly abrupt. He then bellows a mocking laugh and begins wiping a tear from his eyes. And his voice is completely different. He says, "You'll have to excuse me. I'm simply astonished that no one here caught on to my act until now. Well, the time for acting is over. My mission is complete, and I have no reason to stay any longer. I'll admit, this little gathering of yours was entertaining while it lasted. When the Legion contracted me for this job, I hesitated at first. The offered reward was jaw-dropping, suspiciously high. But when I learned the job involved infiltrating a war council of high-ranking representatives sent by no less than 4 nations, it all made sense. However, now that I know the true value of what I came to retrieve, Obsec, or I guess the image of Obsec, pulls open his jacket and withdraws an item. It's a large red shard. You immediately recognize it as the sardonyx shard, which had been in Oran's possession.
Oh no.
Oran, you instinctively move your hand to where you've been keeping the shard throughout this war summit, but it's gone.
Oh no.
He says, "Can you imagine my shock at learning how this little trinket could decide the fate of 2 nations, maybe more? Now I think the Legion's reward is far too small. The lieutenant's been rebuffing my demands throughout this whole war summit, but I can see he's desperate. I'll let him sweat for a few days and he'll give in. He'll pay me at least 3 times the original amount. Though, now that I think about it," he smirks and his eyes gleam as he looks at all of you. He says, "Your upstart resistance is in a much more precarious position than the Legion. Without this gem, you can't even hope to win this war. After all, how are you to defeat an enemy you can't even reach? Those monsters in the Legion will wear you out eventually, even without the shard. It makes me wonder, how much value do you place on it? I hoped to extort at least 25,000 from the Legion, but I might sell it back to you instead. You need it twice as much? No, 3 times as much, surely. Just think of the tens of thousands of lives that will be lost in this war without it, after all. I should think a fair price would be at least 75,000 gold, no?"
So this is why we had to save our money.
And you think if you were to sell this to the Ironfang Legion, what makes you think that they would not turn around and just take your head with the shard?
Oh, I'm not that simple. I wouldn't be handing it over in person. Or, at the very least, I wouldn't do so with it on my person. I'm not stupid enough to have us both be in the same place for such a simple betrayal.
Jessup turns to the others. Not sure what choice we have.
I agree with you, Jessup. I think our hands are kind of tied in this regard. Do we have the means?
Yes.
Are there any of Opsic's money laying around inside his room?
He left his 75,000 gold's worth of gems in the corner.
I cannot express how vehemently frustrated I am, actually, though. Oh my
We go
lord.
we go to Santilla and we say, "Listen, we know you deal in weapons. Can we sell you all of our weapons because
All of
we
our
really
gear?
need cash?"
It's funny because I was reading through all this and I was reading this part and I was like, oh, it's fine. They've got like 200,000 gold. There's no issue. And then you guys started buying stuff and I was like, this might end differently than I expected.
But like, what does the AP expect from us? Like, that's what PCs do when you have money and you have downtime. Like, you upgrade your stuff. So
Sure, yeah. This was me not expecting you to be able to still find that much gold worth of stuff that you didn't already have besides just upgrading existing things.
And he's only going to take cash, right? He's not going to like trade.
Oh, it's got to be in copper pieces too.
Copper, not gold.
I think now he's being a little
He
unreasonable.
wants 7,500,000 copper pieces.
Jessup will, turn. We have the means. Make your deal.
Kieran's like, just let me teleport to Cannerit and I'll withdraw my trust fund. I'll be right back.
Of course. He's a trust fund kid.
Does Jessup have like 75k rocking in his bag? Like, holy cow.
Opsic smiles. He says, let's not make it too complicated. I'll tell you where to go. You bring me my money, and then I'll show you where I've hidden the key to your future. Short, simple. I'll even meet you in person, though, like I said, the shard won't be with me. I can't have you killing me, you know. I'm the only one who knows where I'll be keeping it. I'll reveal it to you once I have my money. And then there's a map already on the table, like the nightstand next to him, where it has the map of the Fangwood, and the illusion takes out a illusory dagger and kind of points at a point on the map there, and he says, there's an old abandoned Legion camp right here. I'll be waiting there for you, and once you've dropped off the money, I'll direct you on where I've hidden your precious little shard.
Feel like for 75k, delivery should be included, but okay.
One provision I might include, if you're willing, is that either you travel with us to where the shard is once we've paid you, or you stay, we keep some of us with you while the others retrieve it. I don't want to deal with treachery twice.
I'm afraid you aren't in any position but to trust me, though, are you? What choice do you have? Either you take my deal and hope that I'm a dwarf of my word, or I just hand it over to the Legion, and once they accept my demands, it's all the same to me. I won't be traveling with you to the shard just so that you can stab me in the back once you have it in your possession again.
Jessup just grabs the map off the table and just walks out. Doesn't say anything.
I have nothing to say to this person. This dwarf.
All right. As soon as you touch the map, the image disappears, and you are left in the room, the four of you, alone. And as Jessup said, you walk out without looking around at all, and you're now outside of the building.
This is mildly infuriating.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a choice, because that's our only key to getting to the Legion, so we will have to deal with him for now.
What's to stop him from just taking our money and then just not telling us really where the shard is? We don't really have much of an option.
We don't. The only thing I can think of is that we would have to employ all of our means to track him down. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess.
You know, I feel the need that if we take all of our gold, provide it to him, and he tells us where the shard is, give Gossamer a little tip on what happened. Let her do the deed for us.
Yeah, the only problem is we don't know anything about this dwarf, and we don't know his connections. So I fear I don't want to send anyone into harm's way. So for now we will parley with him, and perhaps once all of this mess with the Ironfang Legion is over, we can stay together as a party and tie up loose ends.
If he is a bard, anything like I am, he will die very quickly in one full round action. I will tell you. It's Gossamer, no problem. None.
That's why I'm inclined to think that, like...
This fluff is not natural armor.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm inclined to think that he's not working alone, or there's something more going on, because, I don't know. I feel like we could probably take him on if he's a bard by himself.
Oh, yes. The deserted Ironfang Legion camp. How convenient.
We go, and Ka'al shows up, and he's like, ma.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt earlier, but I think for maybe the first time you've ever seen, Gideon loses his composure, and he has himself a violent outburst where he probably smashes some furniture or some wall in the room before everyone leaves.
Breaks his hand.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun flavor. He breaks his wrist, and then he divine touches it.
He does a divine touch. It doesn't heal it enough.
Yeah, you smash. The only real furniture in the room at that point when this would have happened is the nightstand. They smash into it, and it's sturdy, but like you are like a 16th level adventurer, so you really crush that nightstand, and the drawer kind of opens and papers go flying everywhere, and you just make a mess out of the room.
Are there any important papers?
You could look through them if you wanted.
Jessup immediately looks at Gideon and, this was my room.
I think the tone is probably the same. Anytime anyone who you look up to or is kind of like a role model in some way or a religious figure, acting so out of the characters of virtue that they normally extol, it's kind of an off-putting experience. I think that's the kind of trope he's leaning into in this moment, where he's just so frustrated that this person would just literally let tons and tons and tons and tons of people die for some gold.
We clearly tell him to just calm down.
Well, probably go back to the summit, relay the information, probably have us cast a crap ton of detect magic on everyone else, and then figure out our game plan.
Kieran will kind of hold up a hand. Wait, hold on 1 second. There's something here. There's a note. Here, I'll read it to you. You greedy sack of dwarf meat, you were paid for a job. Do your job. So consider my counteroffer. Instead of paying triple the agreed price, I'll just send a few of my people to pick up the sardonic shard in person. And then, once they drag your miserable mud-eating carcass back to Fort Phaendar, we'll see how many times we can regenerate your stubby little hands and feed them to you before they start growing back crooked. I don't care if you know everyone. I don't care if the worm likes you. The worm isn't here. So bring me that shard, or by Hadragash's curdled coin purse, I'll use your skull to open the stone roads the old-fashioned way. And it's signed Scabviston. There are some pretty strong words in here that I edited out just so that you wouldn't have to deal with it, but...
Wait, where did you find that?
It was in these papers in the nightstand that Gideon wrecked.
Oh, good job, Gideon. Fine detective work.
So,
We've changed genres. We're a tropey pulp detective show, and I'm the iron muscle.
So it seems like he extorted us for more money, even though he wasn't going to get any more from the Legion.
yes, he tried to get triple from them, and instead he's going to get triple from us, which is a little bit of salt in the wound, but again, what can we do?
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't go to give money and the Legion isn't already there.
Well, what makes me afraid is there's talk of a worm in here. I don't know what that worm is, but apparently the worm likes him. So maybe the worm will be there, and that could be bad.
Or we go to meet him, the Legion follows, we give him the information, or the money, he tells us where the shard is, and then we have to contend with a race to go get the shard before the Legion gets it.
Well, I guess there's no way to know except to just go, and I don't know how much we tell the others of this. I mean, we didn't even tell the Lord Commander. Is that what they're called, the Lord Commander? Am I thinking of Game of Thrones?
Who are you talking about?
The Multhune lady.
General Lord.
General Lord, okay. We didn't even tell the General Lord of what the artifact was, so I don't know if we need to go down there and start saying, like, we lost this priceless artifact and we've got to go get it. Or if we just say we need... I don't know. If we say that we're going to hunt him down, he was the traitor. I don't know what exactly we want to say, but I think we need to be very careful with our words.
Yes, well, we must say something. I think it'd be very interesting if we leave in the middle of our negotiations. And we don't have another dwarf to bring.
Right, so I think we'll have to reveal some of this, and I don't know exactly how to tie it up without giving away everything, but perhaps we could say that we discovered that the dwarf was the traitor and we are going to take care of the situation.
I think Oran should speak to the group. Relay the information. He's one for omitting our details.
What?
Oran's super sour right now. He just glares at you.
Yeah, I say he was the one who got pickpocketed.
Well, that, but there's also... I think what Oran's upset about is this also means that we don't have a commitment from Kragadon. The Fae have been defeated in a battle already. So what commitment other than the Lastfall Knights have we really received?
We got Multhune too. We have Multhune.
Did we get Multhune? Okay, well.
Yeah.
Well, we have one little.
That's all we need.
Part
We
of
just
Multhune.
need Multhune and the Knights of Ozum. We're good to go. We don't even need Kragadan.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who we have. Without the shard, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. So
Jessup's right. We need to get that shard no matter what.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying this definitely puts a hamper on the War Council.
it certainly does.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Oran, I'm sorry for the betrayal within. I know you spent many hours speaking with him. I don't know if you do, but don't think you had any fault in this.
I certainly don't mind the deception of, him being like a dwarf, but losing the shard, that's still a pretty fresh wound.
That's pretty bad.
It could have been any...
Wow, Gideon! Gideon's like, you suck, Oran. You're bad and you should feel bad.
Gideon would have slept. He would have slid the shard in his armor and slept in his armor.
Right.
Try getting this out.
He's just being a little pragmatic. He's feeling it. Yeah, it sucks. Talking about it doesn't make it better.
Well, I guess, did we even say when we had to be there, or just obviously we'll be there when we're there?
Yeah, there was no time. He just gave you a location.
Also, how much gold do you guys have?
I have 34,000.
I have 54.
Well, then I guess we do have enough.
Well, I wasn't going to tell him we didn't.
That was probably wise.
You didn't roll a bluff check.
He didn't ask for a sense motive either.
He's an image.
He's an image.
Jessup's been an image the whole time.
Oran would suggest, I think we should probably give old Moneybags one more try before we head out. Who knows if we'll be able to make it back before they convene the War Council. We should probably talk to her one more time to see if we can secure her support before we go.
If she's up for attempting that, sure, why not?
What's it hurt?
Can we get the support for the war that may not happen, please?
Right?
All right. So, yes, you all return to the War Council chamber. Scintilla Savros has been brought back with Westlin, and you can see that tensions have died down. The Multhuni escorts have returned to be outside of the room, except for Raiden, who's still there. General Ketra Sabine is still there, like she was before, talking to Raiden. And Serdak has returned to his seat. Gossamer has returned to her seat. As you enter, Westlin kind of gets up and approaches you, and he says, "How did you make out with the dwarf there, Absuk? Where is he?"
Would you prefer the good news before the bad news, or vice versa?
I suppose the good news first is fine.
Good news. We have found the culprit, which leads me to the bad news.
I think I see where this is going.
Yes, he was a traitor this whole time. He was the one who got the information in Gossamer that he used, unfortunately, to harm your people. And then he has stole something very important to us that me and the group must leave and take care of.
Westlin kind of lowers his voice a little bit, and he looks around the room, taking note of where Oran is, and he speaks to you. Jessup, he says, "What does this mean? Does this mean that Kragadan has betrayed us?"
No, just him.
Independent.
He was typical corruption of greed.
Now that you say that, thinking back about it, there was something funny about him being here at all. I didn't recall inviting anyone from Kragadan, but when he showed up, it just, all of a sudden, it seemed like he was supposed to be here. I'm wondering if I wasn't under some sort of an effect as well.
It seems that there were some spells slung. I think it's pretty much taken care of now, but it probably would be prudent for a few of us that can detect magic just to make sure that the rest of the individuals here in the summit have not been corrupted.
Aye, that would probably be for the best.
Jessup kind of holds up his hands and looks at Westlin. I trust you, but do you mind?
Of course not.
So then Jessup will start casting Detect Magic on Westlin.
He's an image? No.
What is going on?
No, just kidding. You detect plenty of various magical auras on him, like you'd expect, similar with Serdak, but you don't detect any enchantments or illusions or anything else like that. You think that he's fine. There might have been a very faint lingering enchantment on him, maybe some sort of charm person that happened a few days ago, but other than that, he's pretty much in the clear.
And then Jessup would motion over to Kieran and see if he wouldn't mind doing the same to his Malthuni brethren.
Yep, he can do that.
So Jessup will go to Gossamer, ask to do the same to her, but then, again, provide condolences and let her know that it won't help bringing him to justice, but we will do what we can to set things right.
At first, Gossamer gets the wrong idea, thinking like you're detecting magic to see if she's a suspect, but like you explain, it's like, no, it's just to make sure that you aren't being influenced by something, and you're able to convince her. And so you can roll, detect magic on her. And again, same as Serdak and Westlin, it doesn't look like she was ever under any sort of effect. She's probably been fine this whole time. And Kieran, you can do the same with the General Lord. I don't know if there's anything particular you want to say before doing that, or if you just want to hand wave that conversation. It's up to you.
So he'll walk up to her and Raiden, I guess, and kind of explain the high level of what Jessup just went over with Westlin. And he'll say, I know this may be uncomfortable coming from me, but if you would allow it, I would like to just detect magic to make sure that you are not under any influence, any enchantment, and if so, I will be happy to let you know, but I can attest that all I am doing is just casting detect magic.
Ketra nods at you and she says, I have nothing to hide.
He casts lightning bolt.
Wait,
No.
can you please have your troops randomly stand behind you in perfect formation?
I know we're just brushing through some of these sequences, but there's something to me about the horror of living in a world where your own mind is not safe from magical influence. You could be acting days as not yourself and then wake up. I don't know. Enchantments are creepy, man. They freak me out.
You know what that's called in real life? Social influencers.
Propaganda.
That's why you just don't dump wisdom, bro. If you have a high will save, you'll be fine. No problem. So, I will cast Detect Magic on the General Lord.
Okay. And same with Westland and Serdok. You don't detect any illusion or enchantment. In fact, you don't detect very much at all. You suspect that she's probably under some sort of non-detection spell, but you also probably hover over... Well, do you hover over Raiden? Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing hiding his magical equipment and whatnot, so you can detect all of that stuff. But as far as Katra comes, you don't know how magically equipped she is, basically. Like, all her items are hidden, but there's no prevailing aura on her person. It's herself, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Kieran takes a mental note of all of Raiden's gear just to see if he's richer than Kieran is with all his stuff, and then he moves on.
He's wearing 10 rings, and each of them give him a wish spell once per day.
Wow, that's a little
Good
cool.
heavens. Kieran's like, maybe I shouldn't have left the army after all.
Yeah, NPCs use different stat blocks, so they can actually have 10 rings, not just 2 like PC characters.
Yeah.
Okay, he'll report back to the group.
You're all able to go around the room, and you detect magic on everybody, and you clear everybody present from suspicion, essentially.
And Kieran will actually suggest that we check each other.
Sure. The 4 of you don't appear to be under any sort of...
Wouldn't that be like a crazy GM move, though? Where, like, you pull a fast one on the players because they had their memories modified. So, like, in a situation like this, we're checking each other, and Jason's like, I'm going to whisper something to Jessup.
He, offline, rolled all of us a will save without us knowing.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be crazy?
You remember the time in your childhood when Obsic saved your life on several occasions, and you're indebted to him eternally.
So I guess we would do everybody, and I was thinking leave Scintilla for last. So, but when Jessup gets done with Gossamer, he'll lean in and again express his sadness for her, and he says, if you don't mind me saying, maybe at some moment later in the day, if you want to issue an apology. And he kind of looks over and winks, and I think it might go over well.
She nods and looks a little sullen now that, like, information has gotten out. You see that and it's not really a surprise. She's one of those, as a Fae, like, she wears her emotions on her sleeve, and you can tell that she's actually, like, genuinely kind of tore up with the fact that she just launched an attack at an innocent person. And so, yeah, she nods at your suggestion.
You're also welcome to follow us and perhaps revenge yourself on the person that actually did this, but that's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, who needs the Fae when they have no army anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. Go assassinate him.
It's not like their entire army went into that battle.
Wait, who needs an army? We could just ask Endwin to show up. Good to go.
There you go. Just use Gendwin.
we get like almost TPK'd at the very end of the fight, and then the one lone person that pumps up from the army, and the heroes thought that they were dead, but no, they were saved by or Groger.
Groger
crawls up.
He just crawls in. The hero has arrived.
So the next move that you guys wanted to do was you wanted to try to influence Scintilla before the everybody called it quits, basically.
Yes.
Give it one last try.
If we can.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you are able to make influence checks today. You cannot make an influence check on Obsic today.
Really?
But you
No.
can.
What?
You can on Scintilla.
Good thing we already have his support.
Yeah.
Hold him to it.
Let me just rub a little bit more salt into the wound here. You know how you guys basically rolled 20 on the DC every single time against him? That was really lucky for me, because the book basically says no matter what you roll, as long as you attempt, he feigns being influenced after 3 rolls.
Oh.
So the fact that you guys rolled at least 20 allowed me to kind of slide that by without being too suspicious. So that was very, very convenient for me.
Glad that we could make your life easier. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's not like we're all playing make-believe, but that really does hurt. It almost breaks the shared contract.
Well, at first I was just like, when he's like, oh, the tragedy, I'm like, oh no, Sarah and I were talking, I'm like, well, maybe something happens to Longshadow, that would really suck, just to be sad, and then it's like, oh, Gossamer's just a third deck, whatever. Oh, Obsic stole the shard. Oh no, this is much worse.
It was much worse than I thought, too. I thought it was going to be something that, like, implicates Malthun, and we got to do some more, like, smoothing things over, you know. But no, it was like, oh, remember that most valuable artifact that you guys have? You don't have that anymore.
You mean the one that we spent the entire book 5 trying to get?
Oh, yeah, the one that the DM hinted that, like, is essential for book 6 because that's what we need to go to where we're going next. Yeah, that thing.
That
the plot
thing.
device. You remember the plot device that you have?
Oran clearly left it under his pillow back in his room.
Imagine losing a plot device.
Yeah.
Yep.
He always puts a do not disturb sign on his door so nobody goes in.
Kieran pulls him aside next time and he's like, Oran, put the shard in a bag of holding for the love of everything holy. Don't just keep it in your pocket.
Yeah, implicating Malthun would have been too easy. Instead, you got to implicate Kragadan.
Well, and see, that's where I'm at. Is like, is Opsic really a dwarf? Like, or is he something different? Because
The Shalehammer family is a real family.
well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, Oran wouldn't have been tricked about all that stuff. So it's like, okay, maybe it really is him. That seems unlikely, but very possible, I suppose.
Do we know anything about the Shalehammer family, like, they're standing in Kragadan? Are they, like, still a family that exists? Or are they, like, an older family? Did they fall into disrepute? Like,
I believe the only individual who attempted to learn anything about the family was Oran, because he was the one speaking with Opsic, and nobody else tried to influence Opsic, so I don't think anybody else even bothered asking him about his family.
oh, I just didn't know if Oran would have known anything from, like, his elementary school days.
They're still a prominent clan.
Okay, gotcha.
I think I talked with him once.
Oh, you might have. That's true.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it seems. I mean, maybe, but it just seems odd that like a prominent family member from Kragadan would be working for the Iron Fang Legion. But maybe we'll find out, I suppose.
He was offered. He seems to be operating based on the dialogue. I don't know. I was just frustrated that from the beginning I was like, oh, that's an image. That's an illusion spell. He's not there. So frustrating. It's frustrating to be right in situations like that because you're just powerless against it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
I thought it was pretty funny when you said that. I was like, ha 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 ha.
I was like, I knew for a fact it was over.
All right, moneybags, pay up.
So yeah, how are you handling that? Is somebody doing it and everybody else is aiding?
I think that was the case, right? We were all going to try to aid Jessup, and we were going to roll, plus we did the discovery for the +4.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that is true, yes.
So Jessup will omnipresent mentor Oran to then teach and aid him, because that's how things work.
That's I remember this. We had a whole plan. It was gaming the system in that way.
Yep.
Jessup's just telling Oran how to stand and nod and smile in a very seductive way.
Seductive?
Hey, listen,
What is
we
happening?
need support.
Yeah,
Whatever
over here,
works.
like, sell yourself to the old lady. We need the
I mean,
money.
It could be worse. You could have sold yourself to the Legion, but
Well, that's
you didn't.
true.
So diplomacy, yeah.
Yes.
And this is to aid Jessup?
Yes.
Sure. So you get a +6, Oran, to your diplomacy check to aid me.
Oh, okay. I mean, I have a 7 diplomacy.
Well, then you auto pass. I mean, I can't, because I can't do omnipresent mentor myself, so I might as well do it to somebody.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Yeah. So auto
Oran
pass.
is a successful aid by default.
Aid by default.
Okay, so Gideon.
Aid by default.
Okay, so everybody aids by default. So Jessup gets a +6 to his roll from the aid. He gets a +4 to his roll from the discovery check.
So +10. So, all right, I have a base 35 now. Come on, net 20.
We ever needed one.
Aw,
That's not
only a
terrible.
7 42.
42 ain't bad.
All right.
But I don't think it's enough to get 3, though, at least.
So you can see that Santilla is still very shaken up over the events. She seems distracted the whole time that you're talking to her. And that's kind of, good thing, bad thing. So, like, her guard isn't as up as it normally is. And so she's not, like, shooting down your response. Like, she's not rebutting you at every turn with, like, cold, hard logic and such. But she's also not necessarily paying attention to everything that you say. That check is enough to get 2 successes, but it is not enough to get 3. You needed a 45.
Oh, come on! I could have got that easy. I needed a 10. Actually, I could have taken a 10. Darn it.
Wait.
I think, couldn't I?
Because you get to take a 10
I mean, but the
check.
thing is we didn't know if that was going to be enough because we knew her diplomacy was really high, too, so... Oh, well, we give it a whirl, guys. Okay, Westlin, your goal is to distract her, to keep the summit going for days while we go and find the thing I shall not tell you about.
And to make you feel a little bit better, Jessup, I don't think you could take 10 on that. You can take 10 on any knowledge check, but it's not until 19th level that the bard is able to take 10 on any skill check. So it's not any fault of your own of that.
So there. Yeah, it didn't matter. Oh, well.
And so, with that is essentially the end of the War Summit. It has been determined at this point by all the attendees that things have become too unstable at this point. Several of the attendees don't want to stay in this location, worrying at the fact that maybe Obsic or any accomplices he might have would have tipped the Legion off to what's going on. They don't want to stay here and be vulnerable, basically. So the summit is called off as of this day. You did successfully get Gossamer, Sirdak, Westlin, and Catra Sabine, however. So you probably spend a little bit of time here kind of explaining to everybody what happened. Like you're saying, it was like, we got to go get this thing back. He pointed us in this direction. We have the means to get it and all that, but like we got to go get that right now. And just keeping people somewhat up to date on the situation. As you're looking at the map, I don't think Kieran would, but I think Oran, I think you're the only one who would have a chance at knowing this. Roll me a, do you have geography?
I do not.
So it's geography or a wisdom check. So just like a flat D20 plus your wisdom modifier.
Hiya! Wow, that's bad. Okay. Well,
14.
okay. Well, there's a 10.
So you're looking at this map and something about the area is familiar. It's close to Mistholm, but you're not exactly sure why you think that it's familiar, that particular area.
Okay.
Is there any final things that you wanted to do before you head out?
Are we going back to Scarvinius's old haunts? Am I going to see a skin tent?
It does seem strikingly similar to the location of Camp Redjaw.
We're going to have to fight those flayed things in that one town. I can't remember, but remember that like
Skin
started
flayers.
Skin flayers.
Gristledown or Gristle.
Yeah, Gristledown. That like suffocated Oran.
Yeah.
Technically, Jessup was at Camp Red, whatever.
I don't think he was, because he didn't join you until book 2.
He was under a pile of bodies.
Yeah, but that wasn't at Camp Redjaw. That was just out in the Fangwood while you were going to the different forts.
Oh, I thought he was like hiding at Camp Redjaw amongst all the dead bodies.
That he was hiding under bodies where you met the guy who was stuck in a tree, the elf. Wood
Oh,
cleric.
that's right. Yep. Sorry. I thought that was Redjaw.
So yeah, as you guys explain the whole situation, various members of the group here do actually come forward and reveal some bits that they didn't think was weird at the time, but it's just kind of like offhanded comments they remember Obsic making that kind of went against things that you were saying. So it's like maybe on like day 3, one of you made a point of, it's like, oh, we have to all band together because if we pool our efforts together, we can fight back against the Legion. And they like maybe like Santilla would mention that she remembered Obsic making just a subtle comment off to the side saying how like, oh, that's not really going to work out that way. That's just being a little idealistic. So it's like behind your backs seems like he was just trying to subtly sow discord, but not so overtly that anybody would have thought that it's weird. It's just like, oh yeah, he's just, suspicious about this, but like all of us are kind of suspicious about this whole situation, and that's why we're here to discuss it and sort of thing. But you do get the sense that he was behind the scenes trying to cause issues subtly the whole time.
Dirty rat.
Glad we wasted time talking to him too.
Yeah.
Right.
Just so good.
Yeah.
Good.
So, you guys leave later that day and make your way to the location on the map. What means of transport are you taking?
Probably teleport.
You can teleport. This would be a location that Kieran has not personally been to. You could teleport to Mist Home, which is closer to it.
Yeah, we could do that.
Like you could teleport here too, but it's just the chance of a bad roll is high.
We could at least go to Mist Home because he doesn't know how far it is from Mist Home.
Yeah, you can teleport to Mist Home and just roll me a D100 and hope that you don't end up in like the Mirkwood.
A similarly sized cave somewhere in Galarian.
You teleport into the cave and Tarbothan's there and he's just like, how did you find me?
You are several APs.
Wait, isn't there some crazy witch lady still trying to get some elevator made down there?
Oh yeah, I totally
Because she smoked 7 packs a day.
Veld in
Veld.
the area, yeah.
Do you think she could bring Nyari back? They were buds.
She's a witch. I don't think they have that spell.
Well, darn.
Well, she could maybe bring her back as a ghost.
Okay, that's an option. That'll be my backup character if Kieran dies.
A 6th level barbarian ghost?
Well, no, she would have been training, so she would have leveled up. She would be at least 11th level.
Oh, okay.
As a petitioner?
Yeah.
Like in the river Styx, she's just like doing push-ups on her way to the court of Pharasma. Like, you gotta get swallowed for Judgment Day.
Pharasma's in the middle of judging her, and she's doing arm curls.
Right? Just like, you gotta be your best self. Just because you're dead doesn't mean you can't stop pumping iron.
Pharasma, and she's just like, do you even lift, bro?
Do you even lift, bro?
Do all of Sarah's characters literally CrossFit every day?
Yes.
Yeah.
You bet your buckles they do.
Yeah, we should bring Aiden back, and he could be a ghost following us around our party.
I would love to see Aiden.
He would remind me of Navi from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
All right.
I wonder about that.
I wonder.
I think Jessup's right.
Jason, before we leave, I mean, it's probably implied, but Jessup would at least privy cob about the treachery and that the Ironfang Legion probably has a very good idea. I mean, I think they already knew about the fort, but just to double up guards.
Sure. Yeah, you were able to lock the place down a little bit and give strict orders that even if somebody comes in and gives the names of all of the important people, not to let them in, like the Malthuni soldiers got in by doing some name drops and diplomacy checks.
And dwarves are no longer allowed.
Yeah, dwarves are banned.
All dwarves are banned.
Even if they're wearing a belted dwarven kind, banned.
Westland nods and immediately signs a petition to declare war on Kragadan.
Yes.
Excellent.
Hey,
Excellent.
Malthun and Nirmathos can agree on
Yeah,
something for once.
Nirmathos and Malthun join forces.
That's how they came together.
Through mutual hate. This is a bad plot line. We should consider changing that.
The darkest timeline.
We just want to get the Sardinic shard and everything so we can then assault Kragadan.
Let's do it.
Okay, so do I need to roll for my teleportation?
Yes. I will say that this would be a scene casually. You haven't spent a whole lot of time in Mist Home.
All right, fingers crossed. 19. I think
Okay.
I'm good.
Yep, 1 to 88 was what you were going for.
Okay.
So you are on target. So you make it to the entrance of Mist Home. A bunch of shrieking mushrooms immediately start yelling out and blaring loud noises. And do you guys, are you doing anything in Mist Home, or are you going to go straight to your meeting location to get that shard? What's your plan?
Yeah, pull up the old map. We'll take a look around. See what they've done to the place.
How long do we think it's going to take to travel to that location spot?
At this point in time, given the discussion that still went on, if you were to leave right now, you'd get there shortly before sunset.
Well, I'm just thinking about once we get to Mist Home, Jessup wants to potentially do some 10 minutes per level buffs and stuff. I just want to make sure, like, will it be a waste?
10 minutes per level would run out before you got there. It's like 3 hours away.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. All right. I'll wait till we get there. Buff.
Yeah, I don't think Oran wants to hang around in Mestholm. Probably wants to go try and get that there shard.
Yeah,
back.
Oran doesn't have the best memories of Miss Home.
Yeah, it stinks like troglodyte. And he misses his friends.
Can I just cast Dimension Door 7 times to get us further along our journeys? It's not going to really do anything. Yeah.
Sure. It would save you a couple minutes at least.
Yeah, no. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna Hunter's Blessing for the day. We'll do the Fangwood, and we'll do Dwarf. Or Dwarfs.
Wow.
Dwarf, the dwarf Oran is like, I don't know how I feel about this. All right, so you guys are just going straight to your destination.
Correct.
All right. Let me move you over to good old Camp Redjaw.
This is the first time I've seen this.
Oh, it is the first time you would have seen this map,
Wait, is
isn't it?
this the whole map you guys spent a whole session on trying to figure out how to get through?
2.
Oh, goodness me. It was an ordeal.
Yeah.
It was a doozy.
Oh yeah, we
retconned
retconned that
it.
entire session. Oh, it was bad.
There was like triple entangle.
Oh, yeah.
And
It got weird.
yeah.
And then even when we did it, it was bad. So,
Oran would like to point out as we arrive, he'd tell the party, like, oh, you see that tent down there that's made out of skins of different humanoids, elves, dwarves, humans, made completely out of skin. We actually fought here.
Well, normally I might be freaked out at that, but in, I think it was Fort Riston, we fought a golem made of hornets and a bunch of skin. And then when the Vault of Kragadon, didn't we have to fight something that also used faces? At this point, I mean, that almost no longer phases me.
Yes, well, not far from here, there's a village. I was wrapped up in some skin. It was awful. Absolutely awful.
I mean, I think that still is the case now.
It wasn't my skin.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just referring to your epidermis. Who's that?
Get him!
You see an ostentatious dwarf sitting next to a fire.
I stab him immediately.
Like I was saying, it's getting close to sunset, so the lighting is getting a little dim.
Oh, thank goodness I can see.
Where are we approaching from? The east?
How are we pulling our money together? Or is it just literally the Kieran and Jessup show?
I could contribute $382.
What the heck are these dollars? It's like the Shroot Buck, but for Gideon.
But for Gideon, I have 300 Gideon bucks.
I have 300 Gideon dollars. Gideon Gill.
Gideon Gill.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much in way of liquid asset, like liquid cash. It's like, it's all tied up.
You spent all of that money that we got?
Well,
Like, you have 300 gold left to your name?
380.
You're going to have an issue during tax season.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and Jason even said, you guys don't want to spend all your money, and Gideon's like, meh, these guys can save money for us.
Like, the others will do it. I don't need to worry about it.
How much, out of all that money, did you buy, like, diamonds or anything for use for the whole party, or just everything to buff Gideon?
Yeah, I have diamonds and diamond dust.
Exclusively for his own use.
Probably.
One of it is for my personal use, but there's other diamonds. I have diamonds.
Okay.
I have 24,000 gold.
Oh, you guys are loaded.
Yeah, I'd give like 20.
He could have asked for 4 times as much.
No.
Yeah, so I guess Jessup could do 40,000?
Oh, I was going to just say 25 each, but I guess.
That's how math works.
You can also do an IOU, and I'll pay you guys next time we get loot, whatever portion.
I only have 24 too.
Seeming how there's 4 of us, but we're going to split this 3 ways because that's how things work with the Knights of Ozen.
Right?
Ooh.
They always leave you holding the bill.
Yeah.
Security ain't cheap. What can I say? We protect the realm.
All right, so I would say we each give 25,000, and then Oran, whatever you need to get to 25, we have 2,283 in party gold, so I would just use that.
Okay, that works.
Well, I still have 29,000 after that, so I could shore up what's needed.
Okay, so I'll give 23.
Okay, so I'll do 2 more thousand for my own gold, which is fine. Because Jessup saves to have money for the party.
And I'll contribute the 18,750 to the party funds on the next GP if we ever get any before it matters.
You guys have never seen Kieran so sad as when he hands over his 3,400 platinum pieces.
Yeah, we're giving all 75,000 to Kieran, so he has to be the one to hand over all 75,000 to this dwarf.
Ooh, perfect. Also, is there a sense to tell if it's an actual dwarf?
Not really. There's a knowledge local, but know it's a dwarf.
No. Well, I guess Jessup would want to see if that's actually him or if it's an illusion.
So you want to detect magic?
Kieran just walks up and slaps him.
Slaps him.
Oh,
yeah, he's real.
That would work.
See, if the four of you walk up and approach him, and just if you kind of hold out your hand to do a detect magic, he looks at you, and like you can tell that like he's registering the spell that you're casting as you're casting it, and then he just kind of smirks and says, "Oh, it's really me this time." And you cast detect magic, and you detect a bunch of magical auras on him, like his gear, but it doesn't appear to be an illusion this time.
Well, we are here. I hope you're happy that you sold out Kragadan and lives of many innocent people for a sum of money.
Oh yes, very happy indeed. This will set me up for quite some time.
Kieran, you have to...
I thought that was implied that I was handing over the money.
Wait, no, you're over there. I thought you were counting it. Stop, you've counted it multiple times.
Oh my goodness. Gideon's not even here, all right? The map is an illusion.
Well, I know it's not gold weighing him down.
It's not gold slowing him down.
He's not over encumbered.
No, it's just all those jewels that he bought with his gold.
Yeah.
So you hand over the cash, and he kind of takes the bag and starts looking into it. This 75,000 gold is just in this small bag, as
yes,
that's how
bag.
that works. And he opens it up. He takes a coin out, kind of nibbles on it. He's like, okay, that's real gold. Puts it down, takes another coin out. And the next 7 hours no, just kidding. He doesn't count individually for that long. But
that's a good question, though, because it's not like we could just write him a check and he could cash at the bank. It's like when you're dealing with money in Galarian, it's huge quantities of metal.
Yeah.
Just tell us where the shot is and do not cast that check until Monday.
Until Monday. I have to move some funds around.
I have to break a CD and all this nonsense.
Yes.
Roth IRA.
Yeah, I have to
Gotta
pull
take a
from my
hardship
Roth.
withdrawal from my 401k.
Can you imagine? What do you need this for? Oh, save the world.
Save the world.
I don't think that's a good excuse.
Yeah, denied.
So yeah, he does take and he rolls an appraise check to get a general sense of how many coins are there, and he determines that, yep, there's about as much as you'd expect from 75,000. So he takes the bag and puts it in his own little bag of holding, and he smiles at all of you and he says, "Well, it was a pleasure doing business with you. I must say this puts me right at ease with betraying the Legion. I have no regrets. Now, I suppose you're wondering where your precious little key is. Well, you'll find a map located in this..." He stutters a little bit. "The skin tent back there. Yeah, you'll find a map in the skin tent, and that map will lead you to where I have buried the shard. Don't try to find it with location magic, by the way. I put it in a lead box, so you are going to have to put in a little bit of digging work to find it. It's not too far away, but like I said, you'll have to find it on your own."
Watch it be like in Phaendar. Like he snuck into Phaendar and buried it.
It was actually in the corner of the room back at the fort.
It was under the pillow still. He
No,
never
I was gonna say,
stole it.
it's in Gideon's other Oran's other pocket.
Yeah, we all had the same joke in the back of our mind. No, we've had it in our personal possession the whole time. He never actually stole it. He just bluffed his way through.
Yeah, Jessup would turn, and not that we have much of a choice. You kind of put us in a pickle. But how do we know you're telling the truth? Not that we can't do much but take your word for it anyways.
Please, I'm an opportunist, not a fool. I'm more than happy to screw over you or the Legion. One of you will wipe out the other eventually, but making an enemy of both is simply asking for trouble. Even I would struggle to sleep at night if I made that many enemies.
It's probably futile, but I'll roll sense motive. 41.
41 is actually enough to beat his 38 that time. You think he's telling the truth. He doesn't seem to be hiding the fact that making enemies of someone who will get wiped out by someone else doesn't really make him worry much, but making enemies of both of you would just cause both of you to come after him to get the shard back. So you don't think he's actually keen on hanging on to it.
So he's gambling that we're going to lose.
No, at this point he's gambling that you'll wipe out the Legion because he's basically selling the artifact back to you.
Right. And that we're just gonna totally let this grievance go undisturbed. I'll probably flee the country.
I'm sure he'd be more worried about pissing over the Legion than he would us.
I love that you're like, he'll probably flee the country, as if we can't just teleport anywhere we want to go.
Anywhere.
There was an ellipsis at the end of that. Yeah, we're like,
Like it would turn into a manhunt.
it sure would.
Hey, well, there's got to be something we do after the campaign's over.
After the campaign, yeah, we're gonna hunt him down and murder him.
After becoming the heroes of Nirmathis, we become vigilantes
Yeah,
for
we're just
justice.
bounty hunters.
Jessup is going to retrain to be a legit vigilante.
His alter ego is the finisher.
I'm the finisher.
Is there nothing here now, by the way?
I mean, there's a map.
Yeah, what do you mean, nothing here?
They don't use this place anymore. It's just remnant.
No, this camp is in the Fangwood, and after you wiped out Scarvinius' squad, you basically took control of this area for the Rangers. So so the Legion has not gone back into the Fangwood, because now that the Rangers have a better hold of it, they would just be running into guerrilla warfare all over the place. They lost their dragon and everything. They gave up on the Fangwood immediately after Book 2. And then after Book 3, they gave up on everything north of the Meredith. And they just focused on everything south and into Multhone.
I see. I thought that they had made it further. I see now I was wrong.
In Book 3, they had made it far, but then you won at Long Shadow and pushed them back again.
Yeah, I see that. I'm looking through the old handouts.
I mean, technically, they made it up into the Fangwood really far.
Yeah, as of Book 2, they did, because they had taken out all of the Ranger forts, but then you kicked them out of all the Ranger forts, so...
Well, I meant they went to the Fey Realm with us. It was
that too.
like 5 of them, but yeah. So, I guess we just get the map and head onward.
Yeah.
I don't really want to speak with this dwarf.
Yeah, so as soon as the conversation ends, he just kind of gives a very courteous bow and says, I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. And then he snaps his finger and dimension doors away.
Kieran, I thought we told you to cast Dimensional Anger.
I don't have that spell.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, you go into the tent, and you do in fact find a map. Do any of you have geography?
Jessup.
I can try to aid in geography because I have a
Jessup's
spot.
taking a nat 20 on this one for sure, because that would... None of us could read the map.
Oh, I also took a nat 20 for
Whoa.
a 25.
Oh, that's
I
pretty
took
cool.
at 20.
I didn't
Your
take
nat
it.
25 gave me a +2.
I earned that 20. Thank you very much.
Well, I did not. But I'm still going to take a 36.
Okay. So, you are able to read the map. It's kind of a crudely drawn map. It looks like he probably drew it pretty in haste, but it does point out a location with a couple landmarks deeper into the Fangwood, and you think that it'll probably take you another hour or two to find it, which will put you not like into the nighttime, but it's probably going to be like 7 to 8 o'clock by the time you find this, but you probably don't want to just leave it. So I imagine you immediately start following the map, and Kieran can cast Dark Vision so that all of you are able to navigate just fine.
Please, superior dark vision now.
So you find a tree with a cross dug into it and an arrow on one side, and you follow that, and it takes you to a rock with like something kind of carved onto that as well, pointing another direction, and you eventually do find this location, and it is by a tree, and you begin digging. Out of curiosity, what do you dig with? Do you have any digging tools, or are you just using like your weapons?
Kieran's glaive.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Oran's a dwarf, so he can dig
So he
a
has a
hole.
burrow speed, yep. Right.
Diggy hole.
Oh, fun fact though, actually, you say that, but Kieran, if he uses his form of the dragon, would have a burrow speed.
Yeah, so would Oran if he turned into an earth elemental.
I just really want to see Oran dig a hole with his hammer.
Yeah, if Oran turned into an earth elemental, he could just swim to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's a good one, though.
So yeah, regardless, in one way or another, you are able to get down there, and there is a lead box. You open the lead box, and you do in fact see the Sardonyx shard.
Is there any way to tell that it's the Sardonyx shard? Like, is it magical?
If you cast Detect Magic, you can identify it as an overwhelmingly powerful magical source, indicative of an artifact. There's also a small slip of paper in there, and if you read it, it says, "Pleasure doing business with you."
I think now that we have this, Kieran, you should take us back to the fort with Haste.
Well, you're the one that casts that, Jessup. I can't cast that.
I mean, this is figure of speech.
All right, I will cast teleport again back to Fort Trevale.
Okay.
91. Oh, shoot.
Okay, let's see. Fort Trevale is one that you spent more time in Fort Trevale, so that's not seen casually, that's studied carefully, which is a 1 to a 94.
Oh, that was close.
That was very close.
Oh, man.
I was going to say,
Wow.
you're not very familiar with it, so I had to check what the numbers were.
Do you know how bad would it have been if I rolled that on the last one going to Mist Home and we ended up like in the middle of Phaendar?
You know what I would have done this time? If you had been off target on this one, you would have ended up in Fort Ramgate. But yeah, a little bit behind the scenes, Sarah had mentioned this, and it was something that I had been toying with, of Ka'al being sent to chase down Obsic.
Ooh.
So if you guys had gone back to the Camp Redjaw, you actually would have met with Ka'al. He wouldn't have attacked you, though, because he's not going after you anymore. But I just thought that would have been funny. But you had no reason to go there, so I didn't think you were going to anyways.
That would have been really cool.
Kahal would have wrecked one of us, but then probably would have went down this time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he would have crit one of you for like 230
Get shot in
damage.
the head again.
Again, yes.
Casting a dimensional anchor would have been slick, though.
That would have been pretty funny. If you had done that, Obsic would have been like, well, crap. But another behind the scenes thing, he was not a bard.
Really?
He was a 17th level mesmerist.
Holy cow.
Oh,
That's
that is
crazy.
pretty
Oh
high
man, we
level.
should have fought him. We should have made Jason play a 17th level mesmerist.
I'm glad that you didn't.
A dimensional anchor, and we would have.
Yeah, so it's very interesting because his I had to read up on the mesmerist because just in case. The hypnotic stare is very interesting. Swift action within 30 feet. He could basically give one of you a -3 penalty to will saves, attack rolls, damage rolls, spell resistance, spell DCs, and sense motive, and you would not be aware of the effect, nor would you remember being affected by it afterwards. So it's like an evil eye that you don't even know is happening,
Huh.
Yeah.
which is pretty sweet.
So he's like a witch on crack.
One of his class features is essentially the contingency spell as a class feature. So he had a bunch of those on him. So if you had fought him, the first person to attack would have been subject to an insanity spell. And then he was going to start casting Mind Fog, Mass Hold Person, and then it was just going to get very interesting after that point. But yeah, it would have been... He can't do the damage to kill you, but the book basically says he does Hold Person and then tries to coup de grace you, essentially. Which we had decided we didn't want to do it that way, but that's kind of how the book says he does his damage, because otherwise he does 1d4 plus 1 damage with his dagger.
That's how you should have had to do it.
But yeah, that was Obsic, and I was hoping that I didn't have to run him in combat.
Oh, we'll know for next time we run this entire AP. So
Yeah. So, you all teleport back to Fort Trevale, and you can rejoin the War Summit. And what would you like to do?
I thought they concluded the war summit.
Well, you like the people who are still here. So, like Santilla Savros left, Sirdak left, Gossamer left, Catra would have left, but like Westland is still here, Cobb is still here.
So the
so,
Rangers
like,
are still in their fort. Okay.
Yeah, I just mean that like you go back to the War Summit room is what I meant to say, like the council room.
I would have had a brief exchange with Sir Dak on his way out, by the way, just
Yeah, before you left. That's fine.
send him my best and all that. Glad to secure their support and send back all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm quite thrilled that we were able to reclaim the item. My pockets feel much lighter, but it seemed a little too easy.
Well, honestly, at the end of this, if that's what it took to help us take down the Legion, then I think it was probably worth us losing that gold. As much as it pains me to say that.
Kieran, I think this is the most troubled I have seen you.
It really hurt, Jessup. It's going to keep me awake at night.
Yeah, you guys kind of regale Cobb and Westland about the situation. You tell them, you got the thing back, and we're all good. We can proceed with not losing this war
Yet.
And so Westland turns to you and he says, well, thanks to you, we've managed to gather several dependable allies. I think we're finally ready to make some sort of counterattack against the Legion. They failed to destroy Near Mythos, and now we will take back what is ours. Question is, how? With that artifact of yours, seems the best course of action would be to attack the towers. We gain access to their stronghold, however this item works. We can hit them where it hurts. According to Cobb's reports, we know of 4 towers. Unfortunately, most of them are beyond our reach. One is on the front lines of Multhune, and it's vulnerable, but we'd cause significant political turmoil if we marched our forces across the border. There's another in the Fangwood, as we're all now aware, but it's protected by hills, impassable foliage. We could send a group of rangers there, but any sort of large-scale assault is not really advisable. And there's a third to the far south of Near Mythos in the Nesmian Plains, but problem is there, it would take our army at least a week or 2 to get there. Through enemy territory at that. Westland gives each of you a pointed glance before continuing. That leaves us with Phaendar. It's nearby, surrounded by open terrain, with the Fangwood close enough for a retreat if needed. The bridge over the Meredith has been fortified, along with the rest of the town. It's really more of a fort at this point. Easily the most defended of the 4 towers. However, while you were gone, I was talking to Cobb and trying to come up with some sort of plan, and we think that with our new allies, we could maybe have a coordinated attack. Sir Dak could maybe lead a cavalry charge south to the Nesmian Plains. General Lord Catra Sabine could handle the tower in Multhune, and of course Gossamer would be more than eager to avenge her kin in the Fangwood. My forces, the rest of the rangers here, could harass any patrols around Phaendar and give you an opening. Sorry to say that I'd have to leave the actual attack to you. I don't know how you operate. Frontal assault, quiet infiltration with invisibility, fly in with magic, teleport, up to you. I'd just say be careful. Even with all our preparations, they'll have no shortage of defenders. Also, timing will be important. We can't rely on guerrilla tactics here, I don't think. As soon as their first patrols go missing, they'll be on high alert, which will put you in a tough spot. We'll have maybe a few hours at most before things get complicated. But before we went too deep into the strategy, we wanted to wait before you could get back and maybe weigh in on things and see how you wanted to proceed.
I don't want to say I speak for the group, but your idea does make sense. You could all distract them, and the 4 of us can make our attack. I would like to say they won't know what hit them, not because we're that stealthy. We just are kind of a fly by the seat of our pants type of group, and we don't even know our own tactics either, so we just find a way and make it happen.
The Rangers have learned since long times past that sometimes unpredictability can be the best defense possible.
Your plan is well thought out. I think that you have conspired well with Cobb to decide the best course of action. I agree with Jessup. We can take Phaendar.
Question is how best we can support you. As I said, we could take out the patrols just fine, but I don't know if we'd be able to actually attack the fort while you're in there and maybe rile up the nest, as it were. But I don't want to do anything that would cause you to get into a bad spot. So that's kind of where my part of the plan kind of falls apart. I don't know how best to incorporate your tactics into this. We can't really afford to do a siege, as I said. It would have to be swift. We'd have to get in and take care of things quickly.
The problem is even if we do take the tower, I'm not sure we even know how to use this key, or where it'll even take us.
Perhaps not. My only hope would be that if you're able to take the tower, we could take some time to learn. Maybe study it a bit. Who knows, maybe if you took out their commanders, the rest of their forces would lose some morale and we'd be able to sweep them up. I don't know, maybe that's being a bit optimistic. And of course, we know that they can get reinforcements from that tower. I don't know if that's inhibited by the fact that you have their artifact there. Maybe they can't do it as regularly as they'd like or something like that. Maybe they can't get reinforcements at all. I don't know. It seems like they can. The reports haven't really shown any shortage of new recruits in the Phaendar fort, though perhaps they're just seeing different hobgoblins and mistaking them for the same ones over and over again.
Well, when we fought Longshadow, the only way that we stopped the reinforcements was using ballista to destroy the tower itself. I would surmise that if we were to take over one of the towers, as they know we have the key, they potentially might try to recall all the forces into an even more defensive position to provide as much support as they can to Xerxes herself. So potentially, if there's a way for us to relay that we have taken control of Phaendar, maybe the other groups could try to destroy what towers that they can, prevent any of the reinforcements to go back to Xerxes herself, and pick them off while they're isolated above ground.
That is a plan. It's theorizing a bit of stuff, though. I don't know how this artifact works. I don't know if each tower takes you to a different place or they all take you to the same place, but I would worry if we destroyed too many towers if you'd get trapped going in to one, if you understand what I'm saying. But perhaps the risk of you going in and having those still in Nermathos coming in after you would be even worse. It's hard to say. But if we're able to assault the other three forts efficiently enough, perhaps we could hold some defense for a bit, maybe a week or two. We could buy you some time, perhaps. I don't know how long we'd be able to last, but I just feel as soon as we start this attack, we're going to be on a timetable here.
Do the other three of you have anything to weigh in?
No, because Sarah does not know good battle tactics, so Kieran would.
It's on your character.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I can't really roleplay his battle tactic conversation because I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but sounds good to Kieran.
What Kieran wants to do is have us take over Phaendar, teleport and defeat Xerxes. When we leave, teleport back to the tower that's in Malthun, and then she kills us all, takes the key, and then
Gives it to Malthun.
Yes.
Yep.
100%.
Kieran's like, screw Phaendar, let's go to Malthun first and free the Malthun tower. And then everybody's like, yeah, let's do that. And then Jason's like, no, you have to go to Phaendar for the story. You can't do that.
I think Gideon would stress two things of his most important priority: minimizing risk to others and casualties. He really wants to keep that as low as possible. And trying to figure out how to make this attack on each of the towers as coordinated as possible, despite them being great distances and differing, even whole nations generals leading those assaults.
Cobb would kind of speak up and he would say, aye, we could coordinate things. We've been working on some means of coordination for some time. The Rangers have had to establish a way of conversing with each other from longer distances, so we have a fair number of scrolls of sending that we've stocked up, so we could essentially become some sort of a communications hub. We could send to one ally to another and just let everybody know when plans of attacks are, and then we could coordinate them all at the same time. That shouldn't be a problem. As far as minimizing casualties, well, I'm not sure how much that can be done about that, but when you really think about it, if this attack fails, then, well, all hope is lost. So we'll need to, even if we have to take casualties in this assault, it's necessary to preserve the civilians that will all die if we are too conservative.
Of course, Cobb. What do your scouts report on Phaendar? Do you have any intel as to the size or their patrols or the layout?
We have a fair amount of intel. To be honest, you might be able to learn more about it yourself, seeing it up close. We've actually established several blinds 50 feet or so into the Fangwood, just out of sight of the hobgoblins, so that we could spy on them. They're a bit far away for us to get detailed information as well, but they let us see the fort at least. The extent of basically what we've been able to find out is they've erected a wooden wall around Phaendar on all three sides, except for the side with the Meredith River on it. It's sort of a natural barrier itself. The wall seems to be roughly 30 feet tall or so. It's made of wood. They actually cut down quite a fair bit of the Fangwood. They pushed it back about 400 feet from the bridge, so you can't quite sneak up on the bridge as easily as you could have before. They used the wood to build the wall and to expand their line of sight. So, like I said, there's about 400 feet between Phaendar Bridge and the edge of Fangorn Forest. Fangorn Forest, goodness gracious. Fangwood Forest. And then the blinds are 50 feet into the tree line. The rest of Phaendar is, perhaps you haven't been there, is just flat plains. There's nothing surrounding it. Any sentries they have on the wall would have clear view for miles, anybody approaching. So there isn't really much of a means of sneaking up on them there unless you've got some other either magic or maybe teleporting in, as Westland said. I imagine invisibility, perhaps that would work. I can't imagine they don't have some sort of countermeasures to the basic magical infiltration means, but I don't know how prepared the hobgoblins are. I know that they tend to dislike arcane magic as a rule of thumb, so perhaps they aren't as prepared for it as, or maybe that means they're extra prepared for it. I don't know. I'm not as experienced fighting hobgoblins as I am other types of creatures. But that's the long and short of it. We haven't gotten any sight inside of Phaendar. We don't really have anyone that can do aerial reconnaissance very efficiently. But that's the long and short of it. They've got a wall. They've got gates. It's, like Weston said, it's a fort. You could see for yourself when you get there.
At the mention of aerial, Gideon would shoot a quick glance to Kieran, and then we'll talk back to Cobb. Well, that's well done. Would you be able to take us to one of these blinds? Maybe we could get, like you said, our own perspective.
Sure, it's easy enough to do. I can either escort you personally, or I can have some of my men escort you there in a small group.
That'd be excellent. You've got matters to attend to. A small group to show us the way should be fine, I suspect, next to the others.
That works for me.
Yep.
All right. I'll inform a few men, and they'll be prepared to get you there in the morning. It'll probably take half the day to get there, but they'll take you the shortest route that they can. But they'll have to prepare, since it is like 10 o'clock at night at the moment. Now is probably not the best time to go.
Well, we'll take the night, I think, Wesleyan, to brainstorm and think over a plan. We'll go out in the morning with some of Cobb's men to take a look, and we'll try to report before noon, I think, what we've decided.
Very well. And he would actually hand you 2 sending scrolls, just so that you'd have them in case.
You have these in excess supply?
Aye, we've got plenty of them. We've been stocking up on them for a few months now.
Excellent.
The wizard there in Long Shadow has been a great help in that regard.
Apparently we already have 2 of those in the inventory, so...
Oh, I take those back. You don't need those then.
Don't say anything.
I mean, Kieran probably had to use one of those to get in touch with Raiden, so we'll say that there's 1.
But yeah, now you'd have 3.
Yay, go us.
So the 4 of you turn in for the night. Jessup goes back to his room, which is Obsec's room, with the broken nightstand and the papers everywhere.
We've been sleeping together the whole time. I had no idea. Well, I mean, not like together, but in the same room.
It's got a thing
Modified
for
memory.
established.
Oh, no!
So you guys are able to rest, and in the safety of the fort, there's no chance of a random encounter or anything like that. So you wake up the next morning, 8 o'clock or so, and probably spend an hour getting prepared, letting the guides get prepared. And there are the group that has been assigned to you as a guide to some of these blinds. And is there anything else that you would like to do before making your way into the forest?
No, but we'll do Hunter's Blessing, and we will choose Hobgoblins. And
We're going to Phaendar again?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
we don't
dead
just
center of it.
we don't just teleport to Mistholm?
Well, I don't know if you'd be able to take all of your guards with you. How many people can Kieran take?
I can take, per 3 caster levels, I can take a total of 4 people, besides myself.
So a total of 5.
So Cobb got 2 halflings. So
That counts. Yeah.
So we're
They count
good.
as half people.
No, it's you may bring 1 additional willing medium or smaller creature. A large creature counts as 2 medium. Huge counts as 4 medium. So it just goes up. It doesn't go down.
No, hold on. So Jessup gets we could do 5. Jessup gets 4 halflings, has them stand on top of each other with trench coats. Jessup convinces Kieran they are 2 separate people,
That checks out. Yep.
and we teleport them all.
I don't think you have to convince Kieran. I think it's just the spell knows.
No, I mean, you don't know. Yeah. That's how things...
The spell has knowledge, Sarah? Don't be
my-
ridiculous.
Kieran's spell ripped these men in half.
So that's quite the spell mishap.
So you can have 1 guard. That would be fine. I guess you don't need multiple people to tell you where you're going.
No, we're just going to the one. We could just take 1 elite guard.
Yeah.
We
Can we
want to
take
take
Sirio?
Serdak. Oh, okay. Or the guy without a leg. That's fine. The
Yeah,
the
just wanna-
14th level paladin or the ranger without a leg.
Redak's not here anymore, and he went sailing. Didn't even know where it is. I want Sirio, to be honest. I like that guy. He was so, full of life.
Kieran asks not for Sirio specifically.
Oran just prepares a regenerate spell just to get his leg back.
Yeah.
Just 3 full round actions and then 2d10 rounds later.
I mean, if he really wanted it, like...
Yeah, he went from Doomer to, I don't know, something better than Doomers.
We don't have any of the Fae here anymore either, do we?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure for scouting purposes. All right. Yeah, I mean, I just think we could bring an unnamed NPC. Why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Do we leave off with any favors for Wendell and Meryl? We could just be like, hey, guys, we need your help with this one last thing.
They don't know where the blinds are.
I know. There was more just for like scouting
They
out.
could sneak
Phaendar.
into
Oh, gotcha.
Phaendar, yeah.
Oh, goodness, they could, yeah.
Jace, for terrain, for Hunter's Blessing, does it make more sense to say the forest because we're looking from within the forest, or to say plains because we're looking into the plains?
I'd say urban because you're studying a fort.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's fine. Urban,
Jace,
then.
could we do that? Could we use the ring that the goddess lady gave us to contact her and ask for some of the
For Wendell?
for Wendell or some of his people to come help us scout out Phaendar?
You can. I don't think the ring lets you teleport them to you, though.
No. It would just be asking them to like meet us.
Sure, but they are like super deep in the Fangwood. Like it took you several days travel to get to where they would be. So they could make their way towards you, but they wouldn't get here very quickly.
Also, I'm personally nervous that they've got counters to invisibility.
And I'm also nervous that they literally had an entire platoon wiped out of their own.
Then what are we hoping to go look at? I mean, like if they can't, if Wendell can't sneak in there, we certainly can't sneak in there.
If you guys are going specifically to roll perception checks, Jessup can stay behind and have somebody else go, because my perception sucks.
Like what exactly is our plan for going there? Like what are we hoping to achieve?
One, to get a perception check ourselves, but also I think that Kieran has invisibility. Yeah, question mark attached to that statement.
Yes, I do.
Invisibility and fly is a little bit better than just invisibility and walking on the ground. So getting an aerial view, we can maybe get some layout and determine a plan of attack once we have a look at the sort of battle map.
Sure.
And then from there we can figure out what might be best.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
Okay. So the next morning, you guys all get ready and you start to make your way towards the blinds. The ranger assigned to you, named Chad, he knows where he's going. He takes you
What
there.
a Chad. What a
Yeah,
Chad.
He takes you there, and it takes about 3 hours to travel there. Normally, it would take longer, but it looks like he really knows where he's going. Like, this guy's on top of things. And you are able to make it to the outskirts of the Fangwood, overlooking Fort Phaendar. I will leave the map mostly hidden until you determine your course of action. I'll reveal like a little bit here. Okay, you see that?
The bridge. It all comes back to the bridge. Oh man, I remember the bridge like it was yesterday. So the plan is to have Kieran cast invisibility on himself and fly.
Yeah, and invisibility, is that personal or touch? If you wanted to send, I can fly too, but that's too far.
Can you? Can you fly?
Yeah.
Mr. like minus 17 armor check penalty.
Can you do it quietly?
I mean, yeah. I
This sounds like a bad idea.
Well, let's just remember that with the way this game works, the dude who doesn't wear any armor has actually only a 3 in stealth, whereas people that wear armor somehow could have a higher thing, because that just makes sense.
What is your stealth?
A 3.
Wait. My stealth is a 1. How is your stealth a 3?
It's only my dex. It's not a class skill for me, so...
Mine's -4, he says.
I'm not very stealthy.
I could cast fly and invisibility on Jessup because I think your stealth is quite a bit higher, but I just don't know about your fly. You would get a bonus, half my caster level, which...
Well, I don't think it matters. Well, because Jessup can... I mean, we could play it where Jessup can draw the map. Kieran can mostly go, because doesn't Oran have the eye to be able to see through you?
Yeah. You take my eye.
Yeah, but the whole point is that I can't stealth.
We'll just get up really, really high. We don't need you.
But if you're invisible, right?
Invisible and really, really high, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, and being invisible, being really, really high, both of those things are great things to be, so...
I just am nervous because, like, I'm sure they've put measures, like, what if there's a giant, like, anti-magic field and I fly into it and then... See ya, Kieran.
Then you turn into form of the dragon, and then you fly back really fast.
And that would be really bad. Do we have contingency? No.
No.
Too bad.
No. I mean, my only saving grace is that I have a non-magical means of flight, but they may charge after me and then we'll be SOL fighting 50,000 guys.
Do you hear a really loud, sound like a flapping of wings? Well, yeah, I don't see anything, though. It's probably fine.
How do stealth checks work while you're flying with wings, Jace?
The same way as any other stealth check.
As when walking with feet?
Well, I wasn't sure if the wings made extra... No, if it's just...
They'd probably make the same amount of noise as footsteps.
Yeah, but this would be... I could do, the fly spell, which would just give off a quiet hum, like... Like a bee.
My tinnitus is acting up again.
Well, if Kieran's really nervous, Jessup can give him some pointers on how to breathe softly. So, yes.
Huh.
I don't actually think that works with stealth.
I mean, that would get his stealth. Oh, it doesn't work on stealth?
I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It says...
Oh, you're talking about the performance.
Yeah, well, if I was going to give her Inspire Competence, but I think it specifically says something about that check.
And Omnipresent Mentor also can't work on anything that Inspire Competence can't work on?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, because Omnipresent Mentor is just giving somebody my Inspire Competence. I'm trying to read it right now. Yeah, certain uses of this ability are infeasible, such as stealth, and may be disallowed by the GM's discretion. So, I mean, it specifically says no stealth unless you decide to overrule, so I can give a +6 to Kieran otherwise. Kieran,
well, I would say in this situation, it's a little bit different. So, if you were trying to do a continual bardic performance, because, normally, in order for them to be affected by Inspire Competence, they'd have to be near you, and you'd have to be actively performing the entire time. So if you're trying to do, perform sing for stealth checks, then no, that doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't be allowed. But if you're doing oratory once and then the effect lasts for the rest of the day, regardless of your presence there, then it could still make sense. I don't think that would necessarily be out of logic to be used.
I'm not going to be upset with it if you tell me it's fine. I'll spend 4 ranks and give Kieran a +6 to stealth then.
Woohoo! All live forever. All right, so I have my dragon wings out as backup. I will cast the fly spell, and I will use 1 charge of my greater extend. No, not extend. No, that's right. Extend is... Extend. Okay. I will use a charge of my greater extend metamagic rod on fly and invisibility, so it's 2 charges actually. And yeah, I guess we'll just hope for the best.
Don't forget you're under the benefit of Hunter's Blessing.
Kieran, I'll give you Unshakable Zeal just because that's going to last for 16 hours.
Must be nice to have a full caster level.
I mean, 9 hours still be a long time.
Okay. All right. I think I am primed and ready to go. So I'm going to try to keep this very high up. And I think that if I can gauge being out of earshot, I would like to cast like Detect Magic to see if there's any sort of magical barriers or
Kieran,
anything.
wait, hold on. Kieran, before you go, can I give you something else to use?
The silent rod.
Yes. Yes, I have the lesser metamagic Rod of Silence. So, I mean, it's only going to help you with a level 3 spell and lesser, but hopefully you can make use of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only using it for Detect Magic, so. Okay, I will use that. I have the eye that Oran's looking through, and I will also, I don't know what the distance is for the message spell. 100 feet plus 10 feet per level, so I could cast that, but we'll probably go outside of the range, so.
Yeah, you would be outside of the range almost immediately because it's 400 feet between the trees to the bridge.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. So that's my game plan, and I will take off with that. I'm gonna fly up where I am above the trees and then over.
Okay.
You could hide the eye somewhere looking into the fort, and it would
just drop it.
Just throw it in there. A random hobgoblin picks it up and says, I should take this to the commander.
Yeah. Hey, actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea because then Oran gets the clairvoyance spell and would get to like either hear or see whatever the commander sees or hears as long as he's carrying it. So that'd be cool. Because as you take on like the senses of whoever's holding it.
But actually they say, oh, this is junk. They throw it into the river.
They throw it in the river and then I have to go find a different cat's eye.
Yeah. Okay, so you fly up and over Phaendar to take a good look. I will reveal the map.
This is kind of sad. Poor Phaendar. Is this the Phaendar map, Jason? Like that, or is this different? Because stuff has been torn down.
This is the current Phaendar map.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you like had to reuse the map from book 1.
No, this is given in the book.
Okay.
Like this over here is the Riverwood Shrine. That's where Jessup's dad died.
Isn't the alchemist place over here?
I believe the alchemist shop is this one.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
This one was Niari's workshop with Kieran.
Yeah, this was Karen's smithy.
Her name's not Karen.
It's Kining.
No.
Kining.
Yeah, it's Kining. The Taproot Inn is right up here.
Yep. Remember that, where it all started.
This is where it went really bad.
Yeah.
That's where Volus went down.
And wasn't it like in here that Elwood died in the
Yes.
circle of hobgoblins?
Yeah, so that's where Elwood died. When you guys had come here to look before, you saw that Elwood's body was hung over the bridge as like a symbol of victory almost. You would notice, Kieran, that you didn't know Elwood, so you wouldn't really make anything out of this, but there is no body there. It's just an empty noose. There's not even like a skeleton. It's just gone. So as you fly up, you can see that there are quite a few new buildings that have been constructed. It looks like there's maybe some barracks in this area. You see that there's a great number of hobgoblins that go in and out of these 3 buildings over here. You see that a sort of palisade wall has been set up around this spot. It looks like what's in there is probably where they would keep like livestock, anything that like they can't just let go around, get wild. You surmise that maybe in one of these buildings it could potentially be something where like if they have prisoners of war, they might keep them in there, but you don't immediately see anything like that from where you are. You do see animals in the courtyard here, but that's about as much as you could surmise from your distance on that building. You see that there are 2 gates, one to the south, one to the west. Each of these look like they're pretty heavily fortified. And the little guardhouse to the bridge itself in the north also has a couple sentries on it. And you can see there's maybe a troop of hobgoblins kind of loitering around in that area. Otherwise, there's a quite a bit of movement throughout the fort. It is very, very populated. As you're flying around, where are you going first? Like, are you looking at anything particular? I can start describing stuff in more detail if you just tell me like kind of where you're going, what you're looking at.
I guess I would try to study. Well, I guess I want to get an idea roughly of numbers of hobgoblins that are in here. So you said there were a whole bunch going in and out of the barracks. So I would try to make a mental note of what I'm seeing there. I would look to see other areas of the fort that seem more populated than others, like trying to find buildings that may be more important than others, kind of stuff like that, like tactical stuff.
Okay, so getting a rough estimate. Each of these barracks buildings, just guessing on size and inferring from your time in the military and how compact some of these living quarters can be for military personnel, probably anywhere from 50 to 100 per building could be housed here if they make it really compact. As far as the guards in each of the gates and the gatehouse to the north, these 3 locations, there's probably a rough estimate of 30 to 40 there at any given time. And just going out throughout the fort, there's a bunch that are moving back and forth, carrying supplies here and there, training in the open courtyard between the west gate and the Onyx Tower. There's maybe a dozen guards over here keeping watch over the livestock and such. If you were to give just a rough estimate, you think there's probably at least 300 or 400 hobgoblins in this fort, not including any patrols that might be out during the day. So it's pretty heavily populated. Like I said, you can see that these 3 buildings, the barracks, are there's a lot of traffic there because that's where most of the hobgoblins stay. The Taproot Inn, you do see some activity, but it's not much. And roll me a perception check.
You got it. 30.
30, okay. Even with being like maybe 100 feet up or something like that, you are able to determine that the individuals moving in and out of the Taproot Inn appear to be of higher status. They are more well-equipped, and they have more accolades on their clothing. They look like they are not just your average soldiers. Over here in Orald's shop, you don't really see very much activity over there at all. Maybe like 1 or 2 hobgoblins go in and out carrying like stacks of paper, but there's not a whole lot of activity, honestly. And the Onyx Tower itself, you don't see anybody like coming out or really going in during you have like what, half an hour of time that you can spend watching this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, in that time frame, you don't really see much movement going in and out of the tower itself. So one thing you do know with that 30 perception, I'll carry that over. There is something perched on the top of the tower. It looks like a raven, and it has been watching you the whole time, just kind of like cocking its head back and forth. It doesn't look, you don't get the sense that it's like looking at you, but it's in your direction. It's looking in your direction, which probably in itself is unsettling, but it's not like raising an alarm or taking flight after you or anything like that. There's a raven over there looking in your direction. So I'll just go one by one in more detail here. So the northern gate, you see it's a sturdy wooden gate with stone fortifications around it, and it blocks that whole bridge entrance into the fort over the Meredith River. You see that on the bridge itself, there's several char stains, like as if there was burning or something that had happened. That also indicates that the bridge is very well built. Whatever was going on, maybe there was a skirmish there at one point, you're not sure, but it's been reinforced heavily from what it was before. Not that, well, no, you would have seen it before because you were here the second time to observe. Or no, Kieran wasn't. That was Nyari. I can't remember how much Kieran's seen of Phaendar in the past, but regardless, it's a heavily fortified bridge at this point. They could have a whole troop of soldiers go across it, no problem. Moving on to both of the gates here, the south and west. They are landlocked gates. They're built with iron portcullis on the exterior and then wooden on the interior, making a sort of barbican between them. So like you get through the first portcullis and you're kind of in between the two, and they can like inspect what's going on and whatnot before letting you into the fort itself. So it's a very heavily guarded checkpoint on either of those locations. You can see there's crenellated walkways above that give guards quite a bit of cover from anybody that would be below them. The Onyx Tower itself. The Onyx Tower stretches to a height of about 65 feet. It's a pretty substantial tower. And the width it's about 100 feet across, basically in both directions for the most part. It's hexagonal pretty much. So it's about 100 foot wide, 100 foot long, however you want to describe that, and then 65 feet tall. And it is a very deep black onyx color, as you would expect from all of the one Onyx Tower that you have seen in the past. You're not able to see inside of it, really. There looks like there's a window near the top of the tower that you might be able to look in, but you would have to get a little bit closer to see through it clearly. It's not like modern real world windows where you could like easily see through it from a long distance. It's kind of crystallized, so the image that you'd see either way through it is kind of distorted unless you're really close to it. But there does appear to be a window there. Otherwise, there's not really any openings to the tower except for an entryway at the base leading into it. And you see that there's like red banners that flank the stairway going in, and a heavy iron gate once you get deeper into it. And that's what you see of the fort here. Is there any additional information you'd like to check out? This is all just aerial surveillance. You could get closer if you'd like.
Was there any, like with detecting magic and using the silent rod, did I pick up any hints of magical auras or wards?
So casting detect magic with the silent rod, you don't detect any sort of like anti-magic field over the entire fort. Again, detect magic only goes about 60 feet, so you're only being able to detect the air around the fort. But you don't detect anything that would be disruptive in that regard from where you are. You would note that as you cast the spell, the raven kind of flutters its wings a little bit, almost like half alarmed, but still doesn't move.
I don't like that. I think because of that stupid raven, I don't want to get too close because I don't know what its deal is.
Toss the eye in the window.
Well, we would have discussed that. Like, do you want me to seriously like drop the eye somewhere?
Yeah. I'm serious. If Kieran sees like a good opportunity to like throw it somewhere to get some more visual, go for it. It's not like it's expensive to replace. It's not like a huge deal.
Okay. Kieran would, I guess, probably try to plant that near the inn where he saw like more of the important hobgoblins going in and out, and kind of just, I don't know, have it fall so that it lands outside and maybe somebody will pick it up.
Okay.
Gets picked up by a bird and carried off.
Yeah, right.
You drop it, the raven flies down, eats it.
Immediately eats it.
Raven guts.
So yeah, you drop it there, and a couple minutes go by before the next individual comes over to that area, and it looks like it's someone of some rank, more than you'd expect from like a low soldier. They've got like a banner that they're carrying in one hand, so there may be some sort of honor guard or something. It's hard to say, but this hobgoblin does notice the gem that has been dropped on the ground, and he kind of looks around to see if there's anybody else who's noticed it, and you see him lean down and like subtly pick it up and put it in his pocket.
Oh, great. Now we're just going to have a view of this guy's pocket, but we could maybe listen to conversations, or he just walks into the outhouse and we're like, oh, no.
I mean, unless I read it wrong, you get to see through like that thing's senses. So like you either can see or hear through whoever's carrying it at that time. Because it's like having the clairvoyance spell, basically.
Once
So like,
and gains the benefit of clairvoyance, but uses the cat's eye gem as the spell's sensor and gains dark vision when viewing through that sensor. The stone is held or carried by a creature, even within a sack or some other container. The creature wearing the crown uses the senses of the creature carrying the gemstone as the sensor.
yeah. So I'd be able to like once per day see or hear one of the
once
two.
per day for 10 minutes, essentially.
Gotcha. Okay.
We'll see if that comes back up. Who knows?
All right. Anything else you'd like to do? You've probably got a minute or two left of your spiels.
I don't think so. I think that's probably the extent of what he will try to surveil, and he'll want to make sure he gets back with plenty of time before the spells run out, so I think he will head on back. And I think he probably, honestly would have been writing this stuff down as best as he could while flying. So he's not making mental note. He would have been trying to jot down, numbers and defenses and things that he's seeing.
Okay, yeah.
And then he will head back to the group.
All right, you make it back to the group without seemingly raising any alarm.
All right, well, here's what I found from what I saw inside. And rather than me trying to recall everything that you said, he will he will say what he jotted down on the papers with the inn. What I don't know if he would have known it was the inn, but I think he probably also would have been drawing a map, an aerial map of Phaendar, so he would indicate on his map the place where he saw more of the important people coming in and out, and he would mention the Raven, how it seemed to notice him even when he was invisible and silently casting spells and stuff of that nature.
Yep.
I think the most interesting thing was that window that we were too cautious to take a look at. That bird is annoying.
It's just a normal raven.
I don't think so.
Perfectly mundane raven.
Did it keep saying nevermore to me?
You were too far away to hear.
Ah, nuts.
Okay. A little out of game discussion then. Basically, there's not anything more that we could glean from perception checks where we are. I assume Kieran got the most of it.
Yeah, for the most part. If you took the rest of the day just observing, you would be able to tell that it seems well, roll me a perception check.
I would say we're not taking the whole day though, because we were told Wesleyan would be back before noon.
Okay, how long are you taking?
What time is it now?
So you left at 9 o'clock and got 3 hours here, so it's noon by the time you get here. So by the time Kieran gets back from his surveillance, it's 12:30. And it would take you 3 hours to get back.
Unless we teleported back.
Yeah, that's true.
Which we would probably do because I'm pretty familiar with the fort, so.
Do you guys want to push it anymore, or do you just want to go back?
Kieran would probably say we could just go back. I think he's seen everything that he needs to see.
Yeah, I think Jessup would agree not to push our luck further than we probably already have.
Oran says we storm the trenches.
Oh, no.
Immediately attack. We can take them.
We ignore Oran and leave him behind, and we'll teleport back to Travale.
Also, if you guys wanted to compare, I can show you the original Phaendar map. It's in the Book 1 handouts.
Well, hey, the good thing is that when we win, they've already constructed the bridge and a wall. So they've done most of the infrastructure for the town.
Yeah, sadly, the Nirmathi don't really like walls because it backfires when they lose their territory. They're
probably going to rethink that strategy now that they got completely invaded because they had no walls. I know it wasn't because they had no walls, because it just was right in the middle. But I'm just saying, they've got walls in Long Shadow, so why wouldn't they want walls in Phaendar? You know what I'm saying?
Well, they have walls in Long Shadow because it's so far away from Malthun, but Tamrin used to have walls, and when it got taken over by Malthun, it turned out that those walls actually kept the people who were stuck there from being able to flee.
According to this map, this building is new.
Yeah, that's my apologies. Orald's shop is here. The reason I got confused is because the map that I have for that building, I just used Orald's shop. So pretend that they're the same building.
Oh. What is that building, pray tell?
It's Orald's shop.
No, it's not.
Try again.
That's the building that you saw maybe one or two people walk into with some papers the whole time you were looking around. There wasn't a whole lot of activity over there.
I see.
You know what we could do that'd be funny is you guys want me to cast persistent image of Obsic pretending to walk up to the gates to give them the key? That'd really piss them off.
There you go.
Let's talk this out a little bit though. What are we thinking as far as game plans are concerned? Just TPing right on top of that tower and working our way down, working our way up.
TPing the tower.
Yeah, exactly.
Just vandals.
Yeah.
It probably, I'm guessing a main assault of the Rangers to draw some out, and then once they do, see how far we can blip in, kind of in between.
How sheer was this cliffside here to the Meredith River?
Okay, so it's a 20-foot ravine, and it's a pretty difficult climb.
Because we have the option of striking the barracks first. That'd be funny. Maybe trying to set those afire or something. What did you say? These were animals that were in here?
The only thing that Kieran could see from his vantage point was like livestock and such.
We're not trying to sabotage food supplies. We're trying to kill them.
Yeah, you do remember Westland said that you'd probably only have a short window of opportunity. As soon as his forces started to engage the patrols and the exteriors, you'd probably only have a little bit of time before the whole fort went on high alert.
The Iron Gate was on the front entrance here.
Yeah, so of the tower, there's basically a set of stairs that go up perpendicular to the entrance, meet at a little flat area, and then go to a second set of stairs that go into the tower. And at the top of that second set of stairs is a gate. It's just like an iron portcullis type gate.
All right, so another spitball idea. Teleport on the top of the tower and then dimension door in through the window to see where we're going and what we're doing. Just full blitz straight to the big bad evil guys.
Do you have to see where you're going for dimension door? You don't, right?
No, you don't.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to see through the window to be able to teleport in.
No, but seeing through the window could give us an idea about
Well,
where
you wouldn't be able to see through the window if you're on top of the tower. That's what I'm saying.
I thought there was a window on the top of the tower.
The window's on the side of the tower. It's not on the top of the tower.
Gotcha.
The top of the tower is like pointed. It's like a pointed tower.
Well, all the same, we don't need to see the dimension door in.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't know where we're going to end up if we go that route.
Well, and I'm nervous about that raven too. If it's some sort of if it is a clairvoyance thing where they're keeping tabs through the raven.
It's just a normal raven.
I don't think
Kieran's
almost
scared of birds.
Almost certainly that raven will raise alarm.
Yeah. And then, okay, I'm sorry if we already said this, but do we know what we're doing with the sardonic shard once we're in the tower?
No.
No, you don't actually know. The user guide didn't come with the shard.
Nuts. That was an extra 25,000.
Yeah.
We did have access to the owner's manual though, didn't we? I thought it included something.
You did, but it was blighted, so you had to throw it out.
Oh, nuts.
No, so you know that the sardonic shard has some way of opening the path between the towers and the whatever fortress it is that they're hiding away in that connects to everything. You don't know exactly how that function works. I think the idea Westland had was just you'd have, if things went well, you could maybe get in there, take out everybody in the tower, and then hopefully figure it out before the rest of the fort collides on you, was the idea. But you'd have to be quick, is what he was saying. You wouldn't have much time.
Yeah, we do know how the shards work though. You just stab them in the ground and tower comes up. Yeah?
Yeah, the onyx shards, you just have to hit them into the ground and then the towers will create out of that. Yes.
And the shard that we have is not an onyx shard. It is
the sardonic shard. It's the control rod. It does not create a tower. It just opens up connections between all the towers and the central hub.
And you could, in theory, maybe close them. That'd be nice.
You could close them. You could open them. You could redirect them. Yeah.
Remind me, how did we get that?
The sardonic shard. That was all of Book 5. That was the Iron Fang Legion had sent Targrith and his commandos into the Fangwood to try to forge an alliance with Arlantia. Arlantia betrayed them. Azersi did not realize it at the time, but Targrith had taken the sardonic shard with him as a escape policy, not realizing that the blight negated teleportation magic. So he was stuck there with the artifact and no means of escaping. So when she took over his mind and his commandos, she took the sardonic shard, realized it was useful for teleportation, thought it was a funny joke to put it on Genduin because she still wouldn't be able to escape even with this artifact. And then when you freed Genduin was like, I don't need this, and gave it to you.
Huh, so they mucked up, so we profit.
Essentially.
We'll have to get him a gift. What was the name of the general who really picked the bucket?
Targrith. He was the spy master.
Targrith. Make sure we send him something, like a gift basket or some like specialty coffee. Targrith. Hero of your Memphis. Honestly, guys, I just say we blitz it. Straight to the tower, man, and do exactly like Wesleyan said. Just try to figure it out before we get collapsed in and die.
Honestly, like, if any of this AP is indication, our planning never goes the way that we want it to. So let's just not plan. Let's just
wing it.
Blitzkrieg, and we'll just take it as it comes. And
I love this because, like, what are we gonna do? Oh, what if we set up like a diversion and we like storm this gate, but then we teleport over here and then we go this way, and then what if we hit the gym? Like, no. That's garbage. We don't need plans like that.
We don't need that.
We just go straight to the big bad evil guy, kill him, try to figure it out before we die.
Yeah, I like it.
Indiana Jones style. Works for me. We can stop talking about it.
Yep.
We'll tell Wesleyan Garvik that. Indiana Jones, you ever seen it? That's what we're going to do. Go in, do the thing, and then fall forward.
Yep.
All right. But you're going back to Travale for today.
Yes.
And then I guess coming back here tomorrow to enact that plan, or are you giving yourself some time to, like, you doing this like right away tomorrow morning type of thing?
Well, we want to make sure that we can coordinate the attacks with the other towers, because I think the whole point was that we're all going to like hit them at the same time. So if they have to get set up, and we'll coordinate with them. But yeah, it's basically like we want to do this as soon as possible.
Yeah, the hardest one would be the one to the south, because the one to the south is through enemy territory and it's really far away.
Mm.
However, with a cavalry, they could probably, if they were like force marching it a little bit and like using lay on hands to keep their horses alive, if they were doing something like that to really get there as fast as possible, they could probably make it in like 6 days.
So in 6 days, the invasion.
All right.
So do we have a small force attacking Phaendar, or are we straight up just the 4 of us charging in there?
We're the small force, man. 4 force.
This is going to go horribly.
The four of you would be attacking Phaendar proper. Wesleyan would be using his soldiers to take out all of the patrols around Phaendar, and then give you a little bit of time before they could maybe distract the gates. They don't want to rile things up too much while you're inside, though. That's the thing. So they would take out all the patrols on the outside, and the moment they hear an alarm go off, they would storm the gates to try to distract the enemy, but they wouldn't take the initiative on the attack. They'd wait until your cover's blown, essentially.
Unless we told them to take the initiative and then went in after.
You could tell them to, but like Wesleyan said, is he's worried that if they rile up the whole fort, it's just going to make your job harder getting in.
Yeah.
But if you disagree, then by all means, that you could tell him that.
Sacrifice yourself for us.
It depends on the timing of it. I'm not willing to sacrifice the soldiers, but in theory, it could be like, yeah, go start fighting, and then they do that, and then immediately we just kind of, boop, boop, sneaky, teleport. But no, I like our plan. We just full send it and go first.
Okay. Well, we will have to go into the nitty-gritty of this assault next week and see how successful we are in reclaiming the Onyx Tower of Fort Phaendar.